The Republic believed they knew every threat the galaxy could produce. Separatist droids, Sith lords, pirate fleets, all cataloged, all predictable in their violence. But on the edge of charted space, where hyperspace lanes dissolved into cosmic dust and forgotten stars, something was growing that had never touched the Force, never bled, and never questioned its own perfection. Clone Captain Fordo stood on the observation deck of the Republic frigate Resolute Dawn, watching scanners that made no sense. "Run it again," he ordered, voice tight. The navigation officer's hands trembled over the console. "Sir, the readings are identical. That moon, it wasn't there 6 hours ago." "Moons don't just appear, Lieutenant." "No, sir, but this one did." The officer pulled up visual confirmation, and it's expanding. Fordo leaned forward. Through the viewport, a celestial body glowed with geometric precision, perfect hexagonal patterns spreading across its surface like crystalline infection. Structures rose from the crust in real time, not constructed, but formed, as if the planet itself was remembering architecture it had never possessed. "Get me General Kenobi, now." The holocom flickered. Obi-Wan Kenobi's blue projection materialized, looking characteristically composed despite clearly being interrupted mid-meditation. "Captain Fordo, your timing suggests crisis rather than courtesy." "General, we're detecting impossible structural growth in the Tibran sector. Entire cities appearing within hours. No ships, no construction crews. They're just manifesting." Obi-Wan's expression shifted from calm to calculated concern. "Manifesting? That's not a word I prefer hearing in tactical reports." "Neither do I, sir, but there's no other way to describe it." Anakin Skywalker's voice cut in from off-screen. "Let me guess, another separatist superweapon?" His face appeared beside Obi-Wan's projection, younger, more aggressive in posture. "Some kind of instant fortress technology?" "Negative, General Skywalker. These structures don't match any known separatist design, or Republic, or anything in the archives." Obi-Wan stroked his beard. "In my experience, the impossible is merely waiting for the right moment to prove us wrong." "Maintain position, Captain. We're en route." The transmission died. Fordo turned back to the viewport. The crystalline moon had doubled in size. Spires now reached into space itself, refracting starlight into prismatic displays that hurt to observe directly. Beautiful, alien, wrong. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, voice cracking slightly. "I'm reading energy signatures forming in orbit. Multiple contacts there." The stars bent. Not metaphorically. The actual light from distant suns curved around invisible masses, warping the visual spectrum into impossible angles. Fordo's stomach lurched as his eyes tried to process geometry that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional space. Then they appeared. Ships, if that word even applied. Crystalline vessels shaped like hands reaching toward prey. Each finger a separate weapon array, each palm a glowing gemstone the size of a cruiser. They didn't drop out of hyperspace. They simply were, as if reality had always contained them, and only now decided to reveal the truth. "By battle stations!" Fordo barked. "All hands to..." Every screen in the command deck flickered simultaneously. The ship's internal lights dimmed, then shifted spectrum. Cooler, harsher, almost white. The Republic insignia on the wall seemed to fade, overpowered by the sheer intensity of what appeared on every monitor, every holocom, every surface capable of displaying information. A face, perfectly symmetrical, impossibly tall even in projection. Skin like polished ivory, eyes like distant suns. Expression containing neither malice nor mercy, only absolute certainty. When she spoke, the entire ship resonated with frequencies that bypassed audio receivers and vibrated directly through hull plating. Organic civilizations of this galaxy. White Diamond's voice carried the weight of geological epochs. Your conflict has been observed. On Coruscant, the Jedi Council chamber experienced the same intrusion. Every hollow communicator, every data screen, every light source became a canvas for the Diamond Authority's message. Masters Yoda, Mace Windu, and Ki-Adi-Mundi stood as the impossible transmission overwrote their secure channels. Mace's hand went to his lightsaber instinctively. This is a sovereign transmission. Identify yourself and cease this violation immediately. Yellow Diamond materialized beside White, angular, severe, radiating controlled disdain. We are the Gem Empire. Your galaxy operates at unacceptable efficiency parameters. Yoda's ears lowered slightly, his ancient eyes narrowing. Strong your presence is, not of the Force yet. He paused, reaching out through the living energy that connected all things, finding only void where these beings stood. Absent from the cosmic flow, troubling this is. Blue Diamond appeared, completing the triad. Where white was absolute and yellow was militant, blue carried something that might have been sorrow if sorrow could be weaponized. Your war generates suffering on planetary scales, ecosystems destroyed, populations rendered extinct, resources consumed for mutual annihilation. Anakin's hologram burst into the council chamber, transmitted from the twilight as he piloted toward the outer rim. Masters, every Republic vessel is receiving this transmission, even the separatist networks. Our intelligence confirms they're seeing this too. Curious? Obi-Wan's voice added from beside Anakin. A message for all sides simultaneously. Either spectacular arrogance or a declaration that sides no longer matter to them. White Diamond's gaze seemed to focus despite the fact she was addressing the entire galaxy at once. You wage war over governance systems, trade routes, philosophical differences. You spend finite organic lifespans destroying the infrastructure required for those lifespans to continue. Mace stepped forward, projecting authority through every syllable. You speak of our conflict, but you haven't answered what you are. Are you conquerors, peacekeepers, another player in this war? We are correction, White Diamond replied, and somehow those three words contained more threat than any declaration of war. The transmission shifted. Behind the diamonds, images appeared, not holographic but impossibly clear, as if windows had opened to distant locations across the galaxy. Planets transformed, organic terrain crystallizing, cities growing like geometric cancer, life forms standing motionless as light bent around them, their molecular structure rewritten into something more efficient. Blue Diamond's voice carried unexpected weight. We do not conquer, we perfect. The transmission ended. Every screen returned to normal. Every light restored its proper spectrum, but the silence that followed was absolute, the kind of quiet that preceded fundamental change. In the Jedi Temple, Master Yoda closed his eyes, feeling the disturbance ripple through the Force like a stone dropped into still water. Begun a new war has, one that cares nothing for our old battles. On Separatist command ship Invisible Hand, Count Dooku smiled thinly while General Grievous snarled about unregistered hostiles. Dooku said nothing, but his mind raced. A third power, one that didn't understand the Sith, didn't fear the Jedi, didn't even acknowledge the conflict that had consumed the galaxy. Perfect. And in his private chambers on Coruscant, Palpatine steepled his fingers, staring at the space where White Diamond's image had burned itself into his retinas. "How delightful," he whispered to the darkness. "Perfectionists who believe they've transcended chaos." His smile widened. "Let's see how perfection handles corruption." If you want to see more characters and empires invade the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character or faction you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. Across 3 separate command structures, Republic, Separatist, and Gem, strategists analyzed the same problem from different angles. The galaxy had just learned it was no longer the apex of its own civilization. Something vast, ancient, and utterly convinced of its righteousness had arrived. And it didn't care who won the Clone Wars. It cared that the war existed at all. The Diamond Authority convened in a space that predated the concept of rooms. Their war moon, designated Homeworld Annex Theta 7 by Gem classification, existed in the stable orbit above what Republic charts called the Tibrin sector. The structure's interior defied conventional architecture. Walls shifted to accommodate function. Gravity operated on conceptual rather than physical principles, and light seemed to originate from the space between atoms rather than any particular source. Yellow Diamond stood before a holographic projection of the galaxy, her form towering even among her fellow diamonds. Her geometric precision extended to her movements. Every gesture calculated, every stance optimized for authority. Initial survey complete. This galaxy contains approximately 400 billion stars, supporting an estimated 20 million sentient civilizations at varying technological stages. Blue Diamond's voice carried melancholy despite the clinical subject matter. And currently, 3.7 million worlds are experiencing active warfare between 2 primary factions. The emotional output is overwhelming. White Diamond remained perfectly still at the chamber's center, her presence so absolute that the other diamonds unconsciously oriented themselves around her like planets around a sun. Summarize the conflict's fundamental structure. Yellow gestured. The projection zoomed to Coruscant. The Galactic Republic, a democratic bureaucracy approximately 25,000 years old. Governing body, Senate of Regional Representatives. Military, recently created clone army derived from a single genetic template. Enforcement agents, religious order called Jedi who manipulate an energy field they term the Force. The projection shifted to separatist space. The Confederacy of Independent Systems, corporate alliance formed 3 standard years ago. Leadership, former Republic members seeking autonomy from centralized governance. Military, droid armies mass-produced across multiple foundry worlds. Tactical advantages, numerical superiority. Expendable forces, distributed command structure. White Diamond's eyes, distant and impossibly focused simultaneously, studied the conflict zones spreading like infection across the galactic map. They war over governance philosophy while destroying the infrastructure required to govern. Inefficient. Worse than inefficient, Blue Diamond added, her tone carrying genuine distress. My preliminary empathic scans detected over 6 trillion individual instances of suffering across active war zones. Fear, grief, rage. They feel everything so intensely and learn nothing from the pain. Yellow Diamond's expression hardened. Their military doctrine prioritizes individual heroics over collective optimization. I observed one of their Jedi, a young male designated Anakin Skywalker, leading a starfighter assault where he personally destroyed 17 enemy vessels, while losing 43 of his own support craft. They celebrated this as victory. Because he survived, White Diamond stated, rather than asked. Correct. Individual preservation valued above collective efficiency. Their clone soldiers are genetically identical, yet encouraged to develop distinct personalities. Their droids possess rudimentary AI, but are treated as disposable despite clear sentience markers. Yellow Diamond's hand clenched. Resources squandered, potential wasted, order sacrificed to chaos. Blue Diamond moved closer to the projection, her hand hovering over a cluster of outer rim worlds. But they feel Yellow. Each clone experiences fear before battle. Each droid questions its expendability. Even their leaders carry burdens they don't have to. Attachment, loyalty, hope. Emotions that compromise tactical effectiveness, Yellow countered. Emotions that make them unpredictable, Blue corrected gently. We've conquered 800 galaxies, never one where the dominant species wielded reality-altering abilities through sheer belief in a cosmic energy field. White Diamond finally moved, gliding forward without appearing to take steps. The projection magnified to show the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, its ziggurat structure pulsing with faint energy signatures even gem sensors struggled to classify. This force, explain, Yellow Diamond called up compiled data. An omnipresent energy field connecting all living matter. Users can predict future events, manipulate physical objects without contact, influence cognitive processes of weaker minds, and in extreme cases generate directed energy without technological assistance. Approximately 10,000 practitioners currently identified, divided into Jedi who claim to serve balance, and Sith who embrace what they term the dark side. Can we replicate it? White Diamond asked. No. Yellow's tone carried rare frustration. Our preliminary analysis suggests the Force operates on principles incompatible with gem physiology. It responds to midi-chlorians, microscopic organisms in organic cellular structure. We possess no cells, no biology. Our consciousness exists within our gemstones, projecting hard light bodies. The Force doesn't acknowledge us. Because we're not alive by its definition, Blue Diamond murmured. To the Force, we're nothing, not light, not dark, just absence. White Diamond absorbed this information with characteristic stillness. Then we possess tactical advantage. If their precognitive abilities cannot perceive us, their primary strategic tool becomes useless. A new presence materialized at the chamber's periphery. A gem soldier, designation Barrel Facet 2 F9L, kneeled with geometric precision. My diamonds. A first contact engagement complete. Republic and Separatist forces encountered simultaneously in Sector 793. Report casualties, Yellow Diamond commanded. 0 gem losses. 47 gem soldiers sustained structural damage requiring reformation. Enemy losses. 2 Republic assault cruisers. 1 Separatist dreadnought. Approximately 15,000 organic and mechanical combatants. Blue Diamond's expression flickered, something that might have been regret if regret could exist without compromising loyalty. They fought us? Affirmative. Neither faction attempted communication. Both opened fire within seconds of visual contact. Republic forces employed energy-based projectile weapons and plasma blade technology. Separatist forces utilized mass driver kinetics and laser arrays. Neither weapons system proved effective against hard light reformation. Yellow Diamond's satisfaction was evident. They default to violence, predictable. Their leader, the one called Skywalker, displayed exceptional aggression, Beryl continued. He engaged directly using plasma blade technology, attempting to bisect multiple soldiers. When standard reformation protocols neutralized his attacks, he exhibited emotional volatility, rage, frustration, fear. Fear of what? White Diamond asked. Beryl paused. accessing memory files. Fear of inadequacy. Our analysis of his verbal responses suggests his identity is predicated on being the most powerful combatant in any engagement. Our immunity to his weapons threatened that self-perception. Blue Diamond's eyes widened slightly. He's afraid of being ordinary. He's afraid of being useless, Yellow corrected. Classic organic attachment to individual exceptionalism. It makes him predictable, exploitable. White Diamond turned from the projection, addressing both her fellow diamonds and the accumulated knowledge of their 800 galaxy empire. This conflict serves no constructive purpose. The Republic and Separatists expend resources at unsustainable rates to achieve marginal territorial advantages that reverse within orbital cycles. Meanwhile, viable worlds are sterilized, populations decimated, and technological advancement halted. Agreed, Yellow Diamond stated. Recommendation: immediate implementation of galactic restructuring protocols. Phase 1. Establish gem kindergartens on geologically suitable worlds. Phase 2. Convert existing military infrastructure to productive resource extraction. Phase 3. Integrate compliant populations into gem hierarchy. Eliminate resistant elements. They'll resist, Blue Diamond said quietly. All of them. Republic, Separatists, Jedi, Sith. They'll unite against us before accepting perfection. Then we demonstrate the futility of resistance, Yellow replied. They worship individual strength. We show them collective superiority. They value emotional bonds. We prove emotions compromise survival. They cling to chaos and call it freedom. We gift them order and call it mercy. White Diamond considered this. Her vast consciousness processing variables across dimensional frameworks organic minds couldn't perceive. The one called Yoda. He perceived our fundamental nature despite the Force's blindness to our existence. His wisdom presents variables. He's 900 years old, Yellow Diamond noted, ancient even by Jedi standards. Experience makes him dangerous. Experience makes him entrenched, White countered. He has survived 9 centuries clinging to philosophies of balance and cosmic harmony. Our arrival disproves his entire worldview. Either he adapts, which his age makes unlikely, or he breaks trying to reconcile the impossible. Blue Diamond moved to the chamber's observation platform, gazing at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, trillions of organic beings experience joy, suffering, love, hatred. The full spectrum of existence her empathic abilities forced her to witness. What if they're right, though? What if chaos isn't a flaw to correct, but the natural state of living things? The silence that followed carried weight. Yellow Diamond's voice cut through it like a blade. Then living things are flawed, and flaws can be corrected. White Diamond raised one hand, and the entire chamber responded. The walls shifted, the projection expanded, and new data flooded the space. Every Republic fleet movement, every Separatist foundry world, every Jedi temple, every Sith hideout, every populated planet across 800 billion square light years. We will not conquer this galaxy, White Diamond declared, her voice resonating through frequencies that made the fabric of space vibrate. We will perfect it, not through domination, but through demonstration. We will show them what civilization looks like when purged of inefficiency, emotion, and entropy. And if they choose destruction over perfection? Blue asked. White Diamond's smile was terrible in its gentleness. Then we will make that choice for them. The Republic attack fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 12 Venator-class star destroyers, 40 supporting cruisers, and 300 starfighters arranged in the textbook assault pattern that had won 100 battles across the Clone Wars. General Anakin Skywalker stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the crystalline structures grow larger in the viewport, and felt absolutely nothing through the Force. That wrongness gnawed at him worse than any separatist ambush. "Admiral Yularen," Anakin said, his voice tight. "Confirm sensor readings." The naval officer studied his console with visible confusion. "General, we're detecting massive energy outputs from the surface installations, but no life signs, no droid signatures, no reactor cores. It's as if the structures themselves are generating power without any internal systems." Obi-Wan Kenobi appeared via holocom, his image flickering blue beside Anakin. "Anakin, I must advise caution. We're dealing with technology that appears to violate fundamental principles of physics." "Physics can be exploited," Anakin shot back. "Everything has a weakness." Spoken like someone who's never encountered something truly alien. Obi-Wan's tone carried concern rather than criticism. These beings announced themselves to the entire galaxy simultaneously. That suggests either supreme confidence or supreme power, possibly both. Ahsoka Tano bounded onto the bridge, her lightsabers already clipped to her belt. "Master, the 501st is ready for deployment. Rex has the walkers prepped for immediate ground assault." Anakin nodded sharply. "Good. Yeah, we hit them hard and fast. Show them the Republic doesn't negotiate with invaders." "Anakin," Obi-Wan began. "I know what I'm doing, Obi-Wan." Anakin cut the connection. He didn't know what he was doing, but admitting that felt worse than charging forward. The fleet advanced. The crystalline moon made no defensive maneuvers, no weapons activated, no shields powered up. It simply existed, growing larger in the viewport, its geometric perfection almost hypnotic. "General," Clone Commander Cody reported from the negotiator, "forward scouts report the structures are singing." Singing? Obi-Wan's skepticism was audible even through the comm. "Yes, sir. High-frequency vibrations, almost like the buildings are communicating with each other." Anakin reached out through the Force, seeking any trace of intent, emotion, or consciousness. The energy field that connected all living things should have shown him something. Fear, aggression, even cold calculation. Instead, he felt the same void he'd experienced staring into deep space. These beings, these gems, existed outside the cosmic balance, which meant they existed outside the rules. "All fighters, attack formation," Anakin commanded. "Target those spire structures. If they're generating power, destroying them should cripple their operational capacity." 300 starfighters screamed forward, ARC-170s, Y-Wings, and V-19 Torrents, piloted by clone veterans who'd survived Geonosis, Christophsis, and a dozen other hellscapes. They opened fire simultaneously, turbo lasers and proton torpedoes converging on the tallest crystalline spire. The energy blasts struck the structure and vanished, not absorbed, not deflected. The weapon's fire simply ceased to exist the moment it contacted the crystalline surface, as if reality had decided those photons and particles had never been created. "What the?" Anakin lunged forward. "All batteries, concentrated fire on my mark, now!" The Star Destroyers unleashed hell. Hundreds of turbo laser batteries, dozens of ion cannons, and every proton torpedo in their magazines screamed toward the gem installations. The combined firepower could have sterilized a continent. The beams touched the crystalline structures and dissolved like rain hitting an ocean. "Impossible," Admiral Yularen whispered. Anakin's hands clenched into fists. "There's no such thing as impossible. Shields can be penetrated, armor can be broken, everything can be destroyed." The crystalline spires pulsed once. Then the gems appeared. They materialized in the space between the Republic fleet and their installations, not dropped from ships, not launched from pods, but simply formed as if they'd always been there and the universe had finally noticed. Hundreds of them, thousands, each one a unique configuration of light and geometry, their bodies humming with frequencies that made clone troopers clutch their helmets in pain. A massive gem soldier, easily 20 meters tall, her form composed of interlocking ruby fragments, floated directly in front of the Resolute's viewport. Her voice bypassed communication systems entirely, vibrating through the hull plating itself. Unidentified organic fleet, you are engaged in hostile action against Gem Empire installations. Cease fire and submit to structural analysis. Structural analysis? Anakin ignited his lightsaber, the blue blade casting harsh shadows across the bridge. I've got your analysis right here. He force-leaped through the ray shield, separating the bridge from space, a maneuver that would have killed any non-Jedi instantly. His environmental shield held for the precious seconds he needed to close distance with the ruby gem soldier. His lightsaber descended in a perfect gemso power strike, channeling all his rage and frustration into a blow that could cleave through blast doors. The blade passed through the gem's torso like cutting smoke. The two halves of her body rippled, then flowed back together seamlessly. She looked down at Anakin with what might have been curiosity, if curiosity could exist without warmth. Energy-based melee weapon detected. Composition: plasma contained within magnetic field, or powered by crystalline focusing element. Her hand extended toward Anakin's lightsaber. Insufficient to affect hard light matrix. Updating threat assessment. Her fingers touched the blade. The kyber crystal screamed. Anakin felt it through the Force, his weapon's living heart shrieking in agony as alien technology interfaced with its molecular structure. The blade flickered, its coherent blue plasma destabilizing into chaotic arcs of energy. He jerked back, breathing hard, staring at the lightsaber that had been an extension of his body since he'd built it as a Padawan. The blade reignited, but wrong, pulsing, unstable, compromised. "What did you do?" Anakin's voice carried raw fury. Analyzed crystalline matrix, observed harmonic resonance patterns, introduced corrective frequencies. The gem soldier tilted her head. "Your weapon operates on biological resonance, inefficient, emotional. We can optimize it." "Stay away from my lightsaber," Anakin roared, channeling the Force into a telekinetic blast that could crumple a gunship. The invisible wave of energy struck the gem soldier and dispersed harmlessly, as if he'd tried to punch a hologram. She remained perfectly still. Force-based kinetic manipulation detected. Non-technological energy transfer. Fascinating. We have conquered 800 galaxies and never encountered physics-defying abilities predicated on belief in cosmic unity. From the Resolute, Ahsoka's voice crackled through Anakin's comlink. "Master, get back here, you can't hurt them." But Anakin Skywalker hadn't become the hero with no fear by retreating. He spun through a flurry of attacks, Ataru acrobatics combined with gemso power strikes, moving faster than human eyes could track. He targeted joints, core structures, anything that might represent a vulnerability. Every strike passed through, every impact failed. Every technique he'd mastered across years of war proved utterly, completely useless. The ruby gem soldier watched him exhaust himself with patient observation. Organic combatant displays exceptional physical coordination. Reaction time exceeds baseline human capacity by factor of 7. Conclusion: genetic optimization or technological enhancement. "I'm a Jedi," Anakin panted, his environmental shield beginning to fail. "The Force gives me strength." The Force. The gem soldier processed this intangible energy field connecting biological matter. We detect no such field. Therefore, it does not exist within our sensory framework. It exists whether you sense it or not. Incorrect. Existence requires observation. What cannot be measured cannot affect outcomes. Her hand extended again, not threateningly, but with clinical precision. You possess exceptional individual capabilities. Your leadership profile suggests tactical innovation and adaptive problem-solving. These traits have value. Anakin's danger sense, the one thing that had saved him countless times, screamed a warning. He force-pulled himself backward, magnetic boots slamming onto the Resolute's hull as his environmental shield collapsed entirely. Ahsoka was already there, grabbing him and pulling him toward the nearest airlock. Behind them, more gem soldiers materialized around the Republic fleet. Not attacking, just present, observing. A recording. On the bridge, Admiral Yularen made a decision that would haunt him forever. All ships execute emergency jump to hyperspace, immediate retreat. Belay that! Anakin's voice cracked over the comm as he stumbled back onto the bridge, gasping. We don't run from... General Skywalker. Yularen's voice carried iron underneath the respect. Our weapons are completely ineffective. We've lost 17 fighters simply from their pilots, panicking and colliding with each other because sensors can't track these entities properly. If we stay, we lose the entire fleet and gain nothing. Obi-Wan's hologram reappeared. Anakin, tactical withdrawal is not surrender. It's preserving assets for battles we can actually win. Anakin stared at the viewport, at the gem soldiers floating in perfect geometric formations, at the crystalline installations still growing like cancer across the moon's surface. His damaged lightsaber hung at his belt, its Kyber crystal's song now off-key, wrong, tainted. He'd fought Dooku, Grievous, Ventress, Savage Opress, enemies who wanted to kill him, yes, but enemies who could be killed in return. These gems didn't want to fight. They wanted to correct him, as if he were a calculation error, a rounding mistake in their perfect universal equation. Jump, he finally whispered. Then louder, all ships retreat to rendezvous point RX-7, now. The Republic fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving the Gem Empire's installations alone in the Outer Rim. Inside the crystalline command center, Yellow Diamond reviewed the engagement data with satisfaction. 17 minutes of combat, 0 gem casualties. Complete psychological impact on enemy command structure. The one called Skywalker will not forget his impotence. Blue Diamond's voice was soft. He was afraid, not of dying, of being useless. Good, Yellow replied. Fear of inadequacy is more powerful than fear of death. He'll either seek our power to compensate or destroy himself trying to prove he doesn't need it. White Diamond said nothing, but her consciousness had already touched something else. The damaged Kyber crystal now orbiting Coruscant in Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. She'd tasted its resonance, felt its connection to the Force, and introduced the smallest imperfection, a crack that, given time and pressure, might shatter everything. The Jedi Council chamber had witnessed 10,000 years of galactic crises, but the silence that filled it now carried a weight that made even Master Yoda's ancient shoulders seem heavier. 12 holographic projections surrounded the physical masters present, Jedi scattered across war zones too critical to abandon. Even for this emergency session, every face wore the same expression, profound unease mixed with tactical paralysis. Mace Windu stood at the chamber's center, his presence commanding despite the uncertainty, eating at the Order's foundations. General Skywalker's report confirms what we feared. Conventional military engagement is ineffective. Our weapons pass through them. The Force itself cannot perceive them. We are, in essence, blind and unarmed against this threat. Plo Koon's hologram shimmered, not entirely unarmed. Master Windu, General Skywalker, reported his lightsaber made physical contact with the enemy entity, even if the strike proved non-lethal. Before they corrupted his kyber crystal, Obi-Wan interjected, standing beside the physical council members. He'd arrived directly from the negotiator, still wearing his battle-worn robes. Anakin's blade is unstable now. It pulses erratically. The crystal's song... He paused, choosing words carefully. It sounds wrong, as if something foreign has been introduced into its harmonic structure. Yoda's ears drooped further. Troubling this is. 900 years I have lived. Many enemies the Jedi have faced. Dark side practitioners, criminal empires, galactic war, but never. His staff tapped the floor softly. Never an enemy the Force does not touch. Ki-Adi-Mundi's hologram leaned forward. Could they be outside the Force entirely, existing in some parallel state of reality we cannot access? Worse, came a new voice. Every head turned. Anakin Skywalker entered the chamber without requesting permission, his stride purposeful, but his eyes carrying shadows that hadn't existed before the engagement. Ahsoka followed 3 steps behind. Her usual enthusiasm dampened. Mace's expression hardened. Knight Skywalker, this is a closed council session. Then open it, Anakin shot back, because I fought these things, looked into their eyes, if you can call them eyes, and I'm telling you, they're not outside the Force. He moved to the center of the chamber, his presence electric with barely controlled frustration. They're beneath it. The Force flows around them like water around stone. Their absence, void. They exist, but they don't live the way everything else in this galaxy lives. Obi-Wan studied his former Padawan with concern. Anakin, your report mentioned they spoke to you. What exactly did they say? Anakin's jaw tightened. That I possess exceptional individual capabilities. That my leadership profile suggests tactical innovation. They weren't trying to kill me, Master. They were evaluating me. Like I was a tool they were deciding whether to use or discard. Flattery mixed with dehumanization, Mace observed. Classic psychological manipulation. It wasn't manipulation, Anakin's voice rose. That's what makes it worse. They weren't lying or exaggerating. They were just stating facts. The way you'd analyze a ship's specifications. No emotion, no agenda beyond observation and categorization. Shakti's hologram spoke gently. Young Skywalker, you seem disturbed beyond the tactical implications. Anakin's hand unconsciously went to his lightsaber, feeling the wrongness emanating from the corrupted crystal. They touched my weapon and changed it, without asking, without permission. They just decided it was inefficient and introduced their corrective frequencies. His voice dropped to something almost vulnerable. I built this lightsaber, poured myself into it, bonded with the crystal, and they altered it like I was a child who'd assembled it incorrectly. The council exchanged glances. They'd all felt Anakin's connection to his weapon through the Force, the deep resonance between Jedi and Kyber that represented years of meditation and attunement. For that bond to be violated, Yoda closed his eyes, reaching out through the Force toward Anakin's presence. Beneath the frustration and wounded pride, he sensed something more dangerous. Doubt, not in the Jedi or the Republic, but in himself. The enemy had demonstrated that all his power, all his exceptional abilities, meant nothing against their hard light physiology. For someone who'd always been the strongest warrior in any room, that revelation was poison. "Master Yoda," Obi-Wan said carefully, "we need to attempt diplomatic contact if military options are ineffective. Perhaps negotiation." "I already tried negotiation," a voice interrupted from the chamber's entrance. Supreme Chancellor Palpatine entered, flanked by Senate guards, his expression carrying practiced concern. "Forgive the intrusion, Masters, but this threat extends beyond Jedi jurisdiction." "Well, I've been in contact with the Diamond Authority." Every Jedi in the chamber stiffened. Mace's voice carried dangerous quiet. "You contacted them without consulting this council?" "I am the elected leader of the Galactic Republic, Master Windu. Protecting our citizens falls under my constitutional authority." Palpatine moved to the chamber's center with deceptive humility. "I reached out through diplomatic channels, offering peaceful dialogue. White Diamond herself responded." "And?" Mace demanded. Palpatine activated a small hollow disk. White Diamond's image materialized, smaller than her original transmission, but no less imposing. Her voice emerged with that same terrible gentleness. "Chancellor Palpatine, your offer of negotiation is noted. However, your premise is flawed. You assume we desire territory, resources, or political concessions. We desire none of these things." Palpatine's recorded voice responded, "Then what do you want?" "Correction. Your galaxy operates at unsustainable efficiency parameters. The Clone Wars have destroyed 417 habitable worlds in 3 standard years. At current attrition rates, you will render your entire civilization extinct within 2 centuries. We will prevent this outcome. By conquering us? By perfecting you." The recording ended. Silence crashed over the chamber like a physical force. Finally, Obi-Wan spoke, his voice uncharacteristically shaken. "They genuinely believe they're helping us." "Worse," Mace said grimly, "they genuinely believe they're right." Plo Koon's hologram flickered. "A crusade built on absolute moral certainty. We've faced Sith Lords driven by passion and hatred. This may be more dangerous, an enemy who acts without anger, without fear, without any emotion we can exploit or appeal to." Yoda's eyes opened, ancient and infinitely sad. "Faced this before, the galaxy has. Not in my lifetime, but in the old records." Yes." His staff tapped rhythmically. "The Infinite Empire, the Rakata, built their civilization on domination, they did. Believed lesser species required their guidance, enslaved entire sectors in the name of order." "What happened to them?" Ahsoka asked quietly. "Destroyed themselves? They did. Their perfection became stagnation. Their order became tyranny so absolute, no room for growth remained." Yoda's gaze swept the council. "But not before billions suffered under their benevolent conquest." Palpatine's expression remained carefully neutral. But those watching closely, Obi-Wan especially, caught a flicker of something behind his eyes. Calculation, opportunity. "Masters, surely there must be some way to communicate our autonomy, to make them understand we don't require their salvation." "You don't understand," Anakin said, his voice flat. "They don't care what we require. They've decided what we need, and they have the power to enforce that decision against every fleet, every army, every force user in the galaxy." He looked directly at Yoda. "I hit that gem soldier with everything I had, every technique, every ounce of force power I could channel, and she didn't even defend herself. She just stood there, letting me exhaust myself, analyzing my exceptional capabilities like I was a performing animal." The chamber fell silent again. Every Jedi present understood the implication. If Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, the hero with no fear, the most powerful Force user of his generation, had been rendered completely ineffective, what chance did conventional forces have? Obi-Wan placed a hand on Anakin's shoulder, feeling the tension vibrating through his former apprentice. "We'll find a way, Anakin, we always do." "Do we?" Anakin pulled away, pacing the chamber like a caged Nexu. "We've been fighting the Separatists for 3 years. How many battles have we won only to lose the same ground 6 months later? How many clones have died taking objectives we eventually abandoned? Maybe..." He stopped himself, but the damage was done. "Maybe what, Knight Skywalker?" Mace's voice carried warning. Anakin met his gaze without flinching. "Maybe they have a point. About our inefficiency, about this war being unsustainable, about us destroying ourselves while claiming it's for freedom and democracy." "Careful, young Skywalker," Yoda warned. "Down dangerous paths such thinking leads." "I'm not saying they're right." Anakin's frustration boiled over. "I'm saying they're not wrong about the war being a disaster. We've all thought it. Every time we sign another casualty report, every time we commit troops to battles, we know we'll have to fight again in 6 months. The gems aren't lying about that part." Obi-Wan stepped forward, his voice gentle but firm. "Anakin, recognizing problems is not the same as accepting their solutions. Yes, the war is brutal and wasteful, but surrendering our autonomy to beings who view us as broken calculations is not the answer." "I know that," Anakin's hands clenched. I'm just saying, they defeated our entire fleet without firing a shot, corrupted my lightsaber with a touch, and according to the reports, they're building structures on 17 different worlds now, growing cities like crystals, converting entire planets to their architecture." He turned to Palpatine. "Chancellor, what did White Diamond say when you asked them to stop their expansion?" Palpatine's expression grew grave. She said, "You cannot negotiate the laws of physics. Inefficiency corrects itself, or it ceases to exist. We are simply accelerating the inevitable." Ki-Adi-Mundi's hologram spoke up. "Then we must find a weakness. Every technology has limitations. Every philosophy has blind spots. We need more information about their civilization, their history, their gemstones," Ahsoka interrupted. All eyes turned to her. She stepped forward, nervous but determined. "Master, when you fought that gem soldier, I was watching through macro binoculars. She had a ruby embedded in her chest. It glowed brighter every time she used her abilities." Anakin's eyes widened. "The gemstone, that's their core, their consciousness?" Obi-Wan stroked his beard thoughtfully. "If their bodies are hard light projections, but the gemstone is physical matter. Then the gemstone can be destroyed," Mace finished, his tone sharp with possibility. Yoda's staff struck the floor with finality. "Dangerous knowledge this is, to know an enemy's weakness and choose to exploit it. The path to the dark side, such ruthlessness can be." "With respect, Master Yoda," Mace countered, "we're not discussing murder. We're discussing self-defense against an existential threat that views our entire civilization as a problem requiring correction." "And where does self-defense end and genocide begin?" Obi-Wan asked quietly. "If we develop weapons to shatter their gemstones, we're talking about permanent destruction of sentient beings who, misguided as they are, genuinely believe they're acting for the greater good." Anakin laughed bitterly. "So what? We just let them convert the galaxy into their perfect crystalline paradise? Let them optimize us until we're all obedient components in their universal machine?" "No," Palpatine said softly, and every eye turned to him. "We do what we've always done when faced with impossible odds. We find allies, we build coalitions, we unite against the common threat. His gaze swept the council. Even if it means making uncomfortable alliances. Mace's eyes narrowed. You're suggesting we coordinate with the Separatists. I'm suggesting we recognize that White Diamond doesn't distinguish between Republic and Separatist. To her, we're all equally flawed, all equally in need of correction. Palpatine's voice carried practiced reason. Count Dooku may be many things, but he's not suicidal. If the gems succeed in their galactic restructuring, his confederacy ceases to exist just as surely as the Republic. Obi-Wan exchanged glances with Mace. The logic was sound, but the source made it suspect. Palpatine had spent 3 years orchestrating this war, playing both sides against each other. Now he advocated unity. Either the gem threat truly frightened him, or he saw an angle no one else had calculated yet. Knowing Palpatine, probably both. Yoda's ears lifted slightly. Sense something, I do. Through the Force. Distant, faint, but present. His eyes focused on empty space, as if perceiving something invisible to everyone else. Not the gems themselves, but their influence. Spreading, like ripples in still water. Their presence disturbs the cosmic balance. Is that even possible? Ahsoka asked. If they're outside the Force. Nothing is outside the Force, young one. Part of it they may not be, but affect it they can. As a stone affects water without being water itself. Yoda's expression grew troubled. And something else. Darker, watching, waiting. Anakin felt it too, a cold presence lurking at the edge of perception. Not the gem's crystalline void, but something familiar and infinitely more dangerous. The Sith. Count Dooku will see the same opportunity we do, Obi-Wan realized. A third faction destabilizing the galactic balance. The question is, will he view the gems as threat or tool? Knowing Dooku, Anakin's voice carried bitter experience. Both. He'll try to use them against us, then destroy them once they've served their purpose. Palpatine nodded gravely. Which is why we must act first. Masters, with your permission, I'll dispatch envoys to Separatist leadership. Not to negotiate peace, we're not naive, but to establish temporary non-aggression protocols, at least until we understand what we're truly facing. Mace Windu studied the Chancellor for a long moment. Finally, the Council will consider your proposal, but make no commitments without our consensus. Of course, Master Windu, I serve at the Republic's pleasure. Palpatine bowed respectfully and departed, leaving the Jedi to their deliberations. Once he was gone, Anakin spoke the thought everyone shared, but none had voiced. He's planning something. I don't know what, but he sees an angle in this we're missing. Undoubtedly, Obi-Wan agreed. The question is whether his machinations help or hinder us when the gems make their next move. Next move? Ahsoka looked concerned. Master, what do you think they'll do? Yoda closed his eyes, reaching deep into the Force, seeking any glimpse of future events. But the timeline had become murky, clouded by the gem's reality-warping presence. For the first time in centuries, the future was genuinely uncertain. Show us their perfection, they will, he finally said. Demonstrate what they offer. What we would become under their correction. His eyes opened, ancient and infinitely weary. And then we must choose. Fight for our flawed freedom or accept their flawless chains. Somewhere in the Outer Rim, on 17 different worlds, crystalline structures continued to grow, and deep within those structures, the Diamond Authority prepared Phase 2 of galactic restructuring. The galaxy would learn what perfection looked like, whether it wanted to or not. The planet Ryloth had survived Separatist occupation, Republic liberation, and 3 years of war that left its surface scarred with impact craters and burned settlements. The Twi'lek resistance had learned to endure, to rebuild, to fight another day, but nothing in their history prepared them for what appeared in their sky 17 hours after the Jedi Council's emergency session. Cham Syndulla stood atop the ruins of Lesu's eastern wall, watching geometry rewrite reality. The structure materialized without ships, without construction crews, without any logical explanation. One moment the barren canyon held nothing but wind-carved stone. The next, crystalline architecture rose from the bedrock itself, not built upon the surface but emerging from it, as if the planet had always contained these patterns and only now remembered them. "Get everyone underground," Cham ordered his lieutenant, a scarred Twi'lek named Gobi. "Now." "It's too late," Gobi whispered, pointing. The gem soldiers appeared next, dozens of them floating above the growing structures with the same impossible materialization. But these weren't the warrior-class units that had neutralized Anakin Skywalker's fleet. These gems were smaller, more refined, their forms carrying artistic rather than militant design. One in particular caught Cham's attention, a pale blue gem with a pearl embedded in her forehead, her expression serene yet absolute. She descended slowly, her feet touching Ryloth's red soil with surprising gentleness. When she spoke, her voice carried without technological amplification, resonating through the air itself. "Indigenous population of this world, we are the Gem Empire. Your planet has been selected for Phase 2 conversion. Please remain calm. Resistance will only delay the inevitable improvement of your existence." Cham raised his blaster rifle. Around him, 24 resistance fighters did the same, their weapons trained on the blue gem and her companions. "This is our world. You have no right?" "Rights are organic constructs predicated on the assumption of individual autonomy," the gem interrupted, her tone carrying no hostility, only patient correction. "We operate on efficiency paradigms. Your species occupies a planet with geological structures ideal for gem production. Current population density, 4 million. Projected gem yield from full planetary conversion, 200 billion combat-capable soldiers. The mathematics are simple." "You're talking about destroying our civilization," Cham said, his voice shaking with controlled rage. "Correction. We are discussing optimizing resource allocation. Your civilization will not be destroyed. It will be restructured. Those who adapt will be integrated into the gem hierarchy. Those who resist—" She paused, her pearl glowing softly. "Will be corrected." Cham fired. The blaster bolt passed through the gem's torso and buried itself in the canyon wall behind her. She looked down at the scorch mark on the stone, then back at Cham with something resembling curiosity. Plasma-based projectile weapon. Temperature approximately 30,000 degrees. Sufficient to damage organic tissue. Insufficient to affect hard light matrix. She took a step forward. "Additional hostility serves no purpose. Lower your weapons and submit to structural analysis. The process is painless." "Like hell!" Gobi snarled, opening fire alongside the others. 24 blaster rifles, scores of plasma bolts, all the fury and desperation of a people who'd fought too long to surrender now, and every shot passed through the gem soldiers like shooting fog. The aliens didn't defend themselves, didn't retaliate. They simply stood there, waiting for the Twi'leks to exhaust themselves. When the weapon's power cells finally depleted, the blue gem spoke again. "Aggression phase complete. Beginning conversion protocol." She raised one hand. The ground beneath the resistance fighters' feet began to glow. Cham felt it first, a tingling sensation spreading from his boots upward, as if his molecular structure was being scanned atom by atom. Around him, fighters screamed as the same sensation overwhelmed them, not pain, Exactly. Worse, the feeling of being analyzed, of having every cell cataloged and evaluated by alien intelligence that viewed them as raw materials rather than living beings. No! Cham tried to run, but his legs wouldn't respond. Looking down, he saw his boots beginning to crystallize, not turning to stone, but transforming into something between matter and light. Solid yet translucent, organic yet geometric. The blue gem watched with clinical interest. Fascinating. Your species possesses dual brain tails containing additional neural tissue. Highly inefficient for bipedal locomotion, but intriguing from a cognitive distribution standpoint. We will preserve this data for analysis. Stop this, Cham roared, feeling the crystallization creep up his legs. We're not your experiments. Everything is an experiment, the gem replied. Existence itself is perpetual refinement. You simply lack the perspective to appreciate the process. Then the sky erupted with green lightning. Asajj Ventress descended like a dark angel. Her twin lightsabers ignited, her presence in the Force a scream of controlled fury. She landed between Cham and the gem soldiers, her blades creating a barrier of crimson energy. Back away from them, now. The blue gem tilted her head. Unregistered Force sensitive detected. Power classification, significant. Emotional state, rage dominant. Conclusion, dark side practitioner. Conclusion, you talk too much. Ventress lunged forward, her Jar-Kai technique turning her into a whirlwind of strikes. High, low, spinning, stabbing. Every attack designed to overwhelm through sheer aggressive momentum. Every blade passed through the gem harmlessly. But something was different. When Ventress's lightsaber touched the gem's form, the hard light body flickered, just for a microsecond, but enough to notice. The gem noticed too, her pearl glowing brighter as she processed the data. Plasma blade technology augmented by Force manipulation. The energy field adds dimensional properties our hard light matrix struggles to fully phase through. Updating defensive parameters. Ventress didn't waste breath responding. She channeled the Force into a crushing grip, focusing not on the gem's body but on the pearl embedded in her forehead, the one solid physical component of her existence. The gemstone trembled, cracks beginning to spiderweb across its surface. The blue gem's eyes widened, genuine surprise breaking through her clinical demeanor. Impossible! You are affecting my gemstone directly. The Force should not. Your mistake, Ventress hissed, was assuming you understood the Force. She crushed harder. The pearl shattered. The gem's body deformed instantly, her hard light projection collapsing into chaotic static before vanishing entirely. The broken pearl fragments clattered to the ground, glowing faintly before fading to dull stone. Silence crashed over the canyon. The other gem soldiers stared at the fragments with expressions that might have been shock if shock could exist without emotion. One of them, a tall, yellow-tinted gem, spoke, her voice carrying new weight. Casualty confirmed. Gem designation Blue Pearl 47 has been shattered. Destroyed, Ventress corrected coldly. And if you don't release these people, you're next. The yellow gem processed this, her internal calculations visible in the way light refracted through her form. Finally, tactical reassessment required. Hostile Force-sensitive possesses capability to permanently terminate gem personnel. Retreat Protocol Alpha 9. The gem soldiers vanished as suddenly as they'd appeared, blinking out of existence and leaving only their growing crystalline structures behind. The conversion process affecting Cham and his fighters stopped immediately, the crystallization reversing as if it had never happened. Cham collapsed to his knees, gasping, feeling his legs return to normal flesh and bone. Around him, his fighters did the same, some weeping with relief, others staring at Ventress with a mixture of gratitude and terror. Ventress deactivated her lightsabers, her expression unreadable. "You're welcome." "Why?" Cham managed, struggling to his feet. "Why would a Sith apprentice save us?" "I'm not Sith anymore," Ventress said quietly, staring at the pearl fragments. "And I didn't save you. I destroyed something that shouldn't exist. There's a difference." She knelt, picking up one of the shattered pieces. It felt wrong in her hand. Not evil like dark-side artifacts, not benevolent like Jedi holocrons, but empty, a void where life should be. These things aren't alive, not the way we understand life. Their consciousness trapped in stone, projecting bodies made of light, convinced their existence represents perfection. "Can they be killed?" Gobi asked, his voice hoarse. "Their gemstones can be shattered," Ventress confirmed, pocketing the fragment. "But there are billions of them, maybe trillions, and for every one you destroy, they'll adapt their defenses." She looked at Cham directly. "Count Dooku sent me to investigate the gem incursion. He wanted to know if they could be controlled, weaponized against the Republic." "And," Cham demanded, "they can't. They're not conquerors looking for power or territory. They're missionaries looking to save the galaxy from itself, which makes them infinitely more dangerous than any army." Ventress stood, her gaze sweeping the crystalline structures still growing in the canyon. But Dooku doesn't care about that. He sees an opportunity to destabilize the Republic further. Let the gems and Jedi destroy each other while the Separatists consolidate power. Cham's tactical mind was already working. "And you're telling us this because I'm tired of being a pawn in other people's wars." Ventress's voice carried unexpected vulnerability. "The Sith use people. The Jedi abandon them. The Republic exploits them. And now these gems want to perfect everyone, whether they want it or not." She ignited one lightsaber again, its red blade casting harsh shadows. "For once, I'm choosing my own side." "Which is?" "Chaos," Ventress smiled without humor. "Beautiful, unpredictable, organic chaos. If the gems want to impose order on the galaxy, then I'll be the disorder they can't account for." A new voice interrupted from above. "How poetic and entirely predictable." Ahsoka Tano descended from a Republic gunship, flanked by Captain Rex and a squad of clone troopers. Her twin lightsabers were already ignited, their green blades humming with readiness. "Asajj Ventress, you're under arrest for war crimes against the Republic." Ventress laughed genuinely. "Little Skywalker's apprentice, come to avenge your master's wounded pride. Come to stop you from whatever scheme Dooku's planning." Ahsoka landed gracefully, positioning herself between Ventress and the Twi'lek resistance. "Step away from the civilians." "Or what? You'll cut me down in front of the people I just saved?" Ventress gestured at Cham. "Ask them. Ask what I did when the gems tried to convert them into raw materials for soldier production." Rex's helmet turned toward Cham. "Sir?" Cham stood at a crossroads. The Republic had liberated Ryloth from Separatist occupation, true, but they'd also left his world vulnerable, pulled forces away for battles on wealthier planets, treated Twi'lek lives as acceptable casualties in the broader war. Ventress was Sith, was enemy, was everything he should oppose, but she'd also been the only one who came when his people screamed. "She saved us," Cham said finally, "destroyed one of those gem soldiers, showed us they can be killed." Ahsoka's eyes widened. "You killed one? How?" Ventress held up the pearl fragment. "Their consciousness resides in their gemstones. Shatter the stone and they cease to exist. Permanently." The implications rippled through everyone present. Rex spoke first, his military pragmatism cutting through emotion. Commander Tano, if the enemy has a genuine vulnerability, Command needs to know immediately. The enemy, Ventress interrupted, is not the Republic or the Separatists anymore. The gems don't care about your war. They're going to end it by ending everyone. She tossed the fragment to Ahsoka, who caught it reflexively. Take that to your council. Tell them I'm offering information in exchange for temporary non-aggression. The Jedi don't negotiate with whom? Ventress's voice cracked like a whip. The Sith. I told you I'm not Sith anymore. Dooku, I'm defying his orders right now by revealing gem vulnerabilities instead of hoarding them. The Separatists, I just saved a planet your Republic couldn't defend. She pointed at the growing crystalline structures. There's your enemy, perfect, pitiless, convinced they're saving you while they destroy everything that makes you alive. Ahsoka stared at the pearl fragment, feeling the force flow around it without ever touching it. Ventress was right. These beings existed outside the cosmic balance. They were voids where life should be, errors in the Force's grand equation, and they could be destroyed. She made a decision that would haunt her for years. Rex, stand down. We're bringing Ventress back to Coruscant as a consultant. Commander. Rex's tone was carefully neutral, the sound of a soldier questioning orders without technically insubordinating. The gem threat changes everything, Captain. We need every advantage we can get. Ahsoka looked at Ventress directly. And if you betray us, you'll kill me. Yes, I understand how threats work, child. Ventress deactivated her lightsabers. But understand this, I'm not helping you. I'm helping the galaxy avoid becoming a crystalline graveyard where perfect beings stand in perfect rows, feeling perfectly nothing. As they departed for the gunship, Cham called out, Jedi! What about us? What about Ryloth? Ahsoka turned back, and for the first time, her youth showed through the warrior facade. She didn't have an answer. The Republic was stretched thin. The Jedi were blind to this threat, and the gems were growing their installations on 17 different worlds with no sign of slowing. Evacuate everyone you can, she finally said. Underground. Off-world if possible. We'll find a way to stop this. The gunship lifted off, leaving Cham standing in the shadow of crystalline structures that grew taller by the minute. He looked at Gobi, at his exhausted fighters, at the red soil of Ryloth that had drunk the blood of so many wars. Start evacuating non-combatants, he ordered, but leave a garrison. If those things come back, I want to know if blowing up their structures works better than shooting their bodies. Gobi nodded grimly. And if it doesn't? Cham picked up a discarded blaster rifle, checking its charge. Then we'll die fighting, like we always do, but at least we'll die as ourselves, not as someone's corrected version of what we should be. Across the galaxy, on 16 other worlds, similar scenes played out. Populations caught between Republic forces, separatist armies, and gem conversion protocols. Some fought, some fled, some, exhausted from 3 years of war, simply stood and waited to see if this new power offered anything better than the endless conflict. The Diamonds watched it all from their war moon, processing millions of data points, analyzing resistance patterns, calculating optimal strategies. They're fragmenting, Yellow Diamond observed with satisfaction. Some resist, some negotiate, some flee. No unified response. Blue Diamond's expression carried something approximating sadness. Because they don't trust each other. 3 years of war have destroyed their ability to cooperate. Even when facing extinction, they can't stop fighting amongst themselves. White Diamond's consciousness touched the pearl fragment now, en route to Coruscant in Ahsoka Tano's possession. a tactical error, allowing them to discover the shattering weakness. But tactical errors could become strategic advantages if properly exploited. "Let them discover we can be destroyed," White Diamond said, her voice calm as stellar hydrogen. "Let them believe they've found our weakness. Pride comes before adaptation." "And when they attack in force?" Yellow asked. "Then we demonstrate that knowing a weakness and exploiting it are entirely different things." White Diamond's smile was terrible in its serenity. "They will shatter 1,000 gems, 10,000, perhaps even 1,000,000, and every shattered gemstone will teach us how they fight, how they think, how they feel." "You want them to kill us," Blue Diamond realized. "I want them to try," White Diamond corrected, "because every attempt will reveal their limitations, their emotional patterns, their tactical doctrine, and once we understand them completely," she gestured at the galactic projection, "we will rebuild them correctly." The crystalline structures on 17 worlds continued growing, and somewhere in the Jedi Temple, Anakin Skywalker stared at his damaged lightsaber, feeling the corrupted kyber crystal's wrong song, and wondered if fighting back against perfection made him brave or simply too stubborn to accept the inevitable. The Invisible Hand, Count Dooku's personal flagship, floated in the neutral zone between Republic and Separatist space, a position that technically violated the rules of engagement both sides pretended to follow. In the vessel's war room, three powers prepared to betray each other while maintaining the fiction of cooperation. Count Dooku stood with the practiced elegance of Sereno nobility, his hands clasped behind his back as he studied the holographic projection of gem-occupied territories spreading like crystalline plague across the outer rim. 17 worlds in 4 days. Impressive efficiency, wouldn't you agree, General Grievous? The cyborg general's mechanical breathing filled the chamber with rhythmic menace. Efficiency means nothing if those worlds produce nothing useful. What value are crystalline structures if they generate no droids, no weapons, no ships? What value indeed, Dooku murmured, his tone suggesting he knew precisely the value but had no intention of sharing it. The chamber's holodisplay flickered and a new presence materialized, not transmitted, but simply appearing as if distance and space held no meaning for her. Blue Diamond's projection filled the room, her sorrowful eyes studying the Separatist leadership with clinical interest. "Count Dooku, you requested this communication. State your purpose." Dooku bowed with calculated respect. "My Diamond, I represent the Confederacy of Independent Systems, a coalition of worlds seeking freedom from Republic tyranny. Your intervention in galactic affairs presents the opportunities for mutually beneficial cooperation." "We do not cooperate," Blue Diamond replied, her voice carrying gentle finality. "We correct. Your conflict with the Republic is mathematically identical to the Republic's conflict with you. Both factions waste resources pursuing ideological supremacy while destroying the infrastructure required for civilization to function." "Precisely." Dooku smiled thinly, "which is why I propose a simple arrangement. The Republic has overstretched itself, fighting a two-front war against both the Separatists and your forces. If you were to focus your conversion efforts on Republic-held worlds, we could... You seek to weaponize us against your enemies," Blue Diamond interrupted. Yellow Diamond predicted this exact proposal. Probability 93.7%. Your tactics are transparent. Grievous's optical sensors flared crimson. "You dare insult the Count? We could destroy your installations with concentrated orbital bombardment." Blue Diamond's gaze shifted to the cyborg general, and something cold entered her otherwise sorrowful expression. "General Grievous, Former Kaleesh warrior. Biological components 20%, mechanical augmentation 80%. You rebuilt yourself into a weapon after your original body proved insufficient. Grievous's breathing intensified, a sign of agitation in his limited emotional range. I made myself stronger, superior to organic weakness. You made yourself a prototype of what we offer the entire galaxy, Blue Diamond said quietly. Transcendence beyond flesh. Perfection through reconstruction. The difference is we don't require trauma and hatred to motivate the transformation. She turned back to Dooku. Your cyborg general proves our central thesis. Organics recognize their own inadequacy and seek improvement. They simply lack the technology and philosophy to achieve it properly. Dooku's expression remained carefully neutral, but his mind raced. Blue Diamond had just revealed something crucial. The gems viewed cybernetic enhancement as primitive validation of their worldview. They saw Grievous not as an enemy, but as a failed attempt to achieve what they'd already perfected. My Diamond, surely even your advanced civilization recognizes the value of allies, beings who share your vision for a more orderly galaxy. We have no vision, Blue Diamond replied. Vision implies subjective preference. We operate on objective mathematical principles. Order is not a goal. It is the natural state toward which all systems trend when properly optimized. And yet you communicate with us, Dooku observed. You negotiate, you analyze our responses. That suggests you value our input, or at least find it useful. For the first time, something flickered across Blue Diamond's face, an expression that might have been uncertainty if diamonds could doubt themselves. Your emotional complexity presents variables. We have conquered 800 galaxies. Most civilizations recognize the logic of our methods within cycles. Your galaxy resists despite overwhelming evidence that resistance is counterproductive. Because we value freedom, Dooku said, and almost meant it. Freedom is chaos, given a noble name, Blue Diamond countered. Your freedom has produced 3 years of galactic war, 417 sterilized worlds, and suffering on a scale that even my empathic sensors struggle to fully process. Her voice dropped lower, carrying genuine pain. I feel every death, every scream, every moment of terror across this galaxy's war zones. Do you understand what that's like? To experience the collective agony of trillions. Dooku's eyes narrowed. If it causes you such distress, why not simply leave? Return to your empire and abandon this galaxy to its fate. Because leaving them to suffer would be worse. Blue Diamond's image leaned forward. We possess the power to end all this pain, to create a galaxy where suffering is structurally impossible, where every being functions at optimal efficiency, where resources are distributed perfectly, where conflict becomes mathematically irrelevant. And you ask me to abandon that responsibility because the cure is uncomfortable. The cure is annihilation, Dooku said coldly. You speak of ending suffering by ending the sufferers, by converting them into your crystalline soldiers. That's not salvation, that's genocide with good intentions. You misunderstand our process, Blue Diamond began, but Dooku cut her off. Do I? Your soldiers told the Twi'leks on Ryloth they'd be integrated into the gem hierarchy. What does integration mean? Preserving their consciousness while restructuring their bodies, or destroying their individuality entirely and using their planet's resources to birth new gems who've never known organic existence. Blue Diamond's silence was answer enough. Dooku pressed the advantage. You claim to feel their suffering, but you don't actually feel for them, do you? Their pain is data to be processed, variables in your optimization equations. You want to end suffering not because you care about the beings who suffer, but because their emotional output offends your sense of order. That's not... Blue Diamond's voice cracked, the first genuine emotion breaking through her clinical demeanor. You don't understand. I was made to feel. It's my function in the Diamond Authority. Yellow handles military operations, white determines policy, and I process the emotional cost of what we do. Her projection flickered. Every gem we create from a converted planet, I feel the echoes of the lives that were there, the families, the dreams, the loves and hatreds and tiny moments of joy that made them alive. And yet you continue, Dooku observed, because the alternative is worse. Blue Diamond's voice rose, resonating through the ship's hull. If we don't intervene, your war continues. More planets die, more suffering compounds. At least our method ends the pain cleanly, permanently. We offer transcendence beyond flesh, beyond mortality, beyond the endless cycle of organic existence that inevitably produces misery. Grievous spoke up, his tone carrying unexpected philosophical weight. I chose transcendence, rebuilt myself after my body failed. Every replacement part, every augmentation, I decided what I would become. Blue Diamond's gaze fixed on him. And if you'd been given perfection from the beginning, if you'd never needed to suffer the limitations of flesh at all, then I wouldn't be me, Grievous replied. The suffering made me strong, made me a general, made me the greatest warrior in the Confederacy. The suffering made you broken, Blue Diamond corrected gently. You cling to pain because it's all you've ever known. But pain is not strength, it's simply pain, and pain can be corrected. The conversation was spiraling in directions Dooku hadn't anticipated. Blue Diamond wasn't a military strategist to be outmaneuvered or a politician to be manipulated. She was genuinely convinced of her moral righteousness, which made her infinitely more dangerous than any Sith Lord. My diamond, Dooku said carefully. I suspect we're not going to reach an agreement today, but perhaps you might share what your Phase 2 conversion entails. Simply for informational purposes. Blue Diamond studied him, her empathic abilities reading the layers of deception and genuine curiosity beneath his aristocratic facade. You seek knowledge to weaponize against us. I seek knowledge to understand what my people face. Surely transparency serves your goal of helping us recognize the necessity of your methods. A long pause. Then, Phase 2 begins full planetary conversion. Kindergartens, facilities that extract geological resources to produce new gem soldiers, will be established on all suitable worlds. The process takes approximately 700 standard years to completion. During this time, organic populations will be offered integration opportunities. And if they refuse integration, then they will be relocated to preservation zones until the kindergartens complete their cycles. Afterward, they may return to whatever remains of their world. Nothing, Dooku said flatly. Kindergartens drain planets completely. I've seen the reports from Ryloth. Entire canyons beginning to crystallize. You're not integrating populations. You're strip mining worlds while their inhabitants watch. We are optimizing resource allocation, Blue Diamond corrected. Your species wastes 97% of available planetary matter through inefficient extraction methods. We utilize complete geological structures. Yes, this renders worlds uninhabitable by organic standards, but the gem population produced from a single converted world can then terraform a dozen others to support organic life. The net result is positive. Grievous's breathing accelerated. You would destroy our homes to create what? You crystalline servants to rebuild homes elsewhere? Servants? Blue Diamond seemed genuinely confused. No, We create equals. Every gem produced from a kindergarten possesses full consciousness, complete autonomy, and perfect integration into our collective purpose. They are not slaves. They are citizens of an empire that spans 800 galaxies. Citizens without choice, Dooku observed. Born into a civilization they never agreed to join, serving purposes they never consented to fulfill. Consent is an organic construct predicated on the assumption that individuals should determine their own paths, Blue Diamond replied. But individual paths inevitably conflict, producing the chaos we observe in your galaxy. A collective purpose eliminates conflict by aligning all desires towards a common optimization. You're describing a hive mind. We're describing harmony. Blue Diamond's patience was clearly wearing thin, a sign she was more emotional than she pretended. Your conversation is circular. You defend chaos while admitting it produces suffering. You claim to value freedom while your war destroys the infrastructure that makes freedom possible. You criticize our methods while offering no alternative solutions. Dooku smiled coldly. My alternative is simple. Leave, now, before we're forced to demonstrate that even your superior technology has limitations. Blue Diamond's expression hardened, her sorrowful demeanor replaced by something approximating steel. Forced? By whom? Your droid armies that our soldiers neutralize without effort? Your organic warriors whose weapons pass through us harmlessly? Your Sith alchemy that... She paused, her sensors clearly detecting something. Your dark side practitioners, both of you. The Force flows through you differently than it flows through Jedi. Dooku's hand moved subtly toward his lightsaber, an astute observation. Dark side users embrace passion, emotion, personal power. Blue Diamond processed this new data. You're antithetical to Jedi philosophy, natural enemies of the Republic. We assumed you were simply political opponents. We are whatever we need to be, Dooku replied. Politicians when diplomacy serves. Warriors when violence is required. Sith when the dark side offers advantage. Sith, Blue Diamond repeated, accessing her civilization's comprehensive databases. Darth Tyrannus. That is your true designation. A student of Darth Sidious, heir to a philosophical tradition that embraces suffering as a source of strength. The temperature in the war room seemed to drop. Dooku's facade of diplomatic neutrality cracked. You've been researching us. We research everything, Blue Diamond said simply. Your Sith Order has existed for millennia, hiding behind political masks, manipulating galactic events, orchestrating wars to consolidate power. You are not a victim of the Clone Wars, Darth Tyrannus. You are its architect. Grievous's optical sensors swiveled toward Dooku. Count? Dooku raised one hand, Force lightning crackling between his fingers. Information is only useful if you live long enough to share it. The energy lanced toward Blue Diamond's projection. It passed through harmlessly. She wasn't physically present, but the gesture was clear. The negotiations had ended. Blue Diamond's image didn't flinch. Threatening a holographic projection is inefficient, but your emotional response provides valuable data. The Sith cannot tolerate being analyzed, categorized, understood. Your power depends on mystery and fear. We remove both. Her projection expanded, filling the entire war room with her sorrowful presence. Darth Tyrannus, General Grievous, understand this. We will convert your separatist worlds just as thoroughly as Republic territory. Your political affiliation is irrelevant. Your military strength is irrelevant. Your dark side abilities are irrelevant. You are simply more organics who require correction. Then come and correct us, Dooku snarled, his aristocratic composure finally cracking. Bring your diamond authority. Deploy your infinite gem soldiers. We'll show you what the dark side can do when properly motivated. Blue Diamond's expression shifted to something resembling pity. You still don't understand. We don't need to defeat you militarily. We simply need to wait. Your war with the Republic will continue. More resources will be exhausted. More infrastructure will collapse. And when both factions have weakened each other sufficiently, her image began fading. We will step in and rebuild what you destroyed, not as conquerors, as gardeners pruning a diseased tree. The transmission ended. Grievous turned to Dooku, his mechanical hands clenching. The Gem Empire knows you orchestrated the Clone Wars. They will share this information with the Republic. No, they won't, Dooku said thoughtfully, his composure restored. A Blue Diamond said it herself. Our political affiliation is irrelevant to them. They don't care who wins the Clone Wars because they're planning to render the outcome meaningless. He moved to the holodisplay, studying the expanding gem territories. Which presents an opportunity. How? Because Blue Diamond just revealed their fundamental weakness. Dooku smiled. She genuinely feels the suffering her empire causes. Yellow Diamond doesn't care. She sees only efficiency metrics. White Diamond probably views emotion as a design flaw, but Blue Diamond actually experiences empathic feedback from every conversion, every kindergarten, every world they strip. Grievous's optical sensors brightened with understanding. Psychological warfare. Exactly. We can't match their technology, can't hurt their bodies. Can't predict them through the Force, but we can make them feel. Dooku's fingers drummed on the holo display. Every planet they convert, we ensure the suffering is maximized. Broadcast the screams, document the terror, make Blue Diamond experience every agonizing detail of what her optimization produces. To what end? To fracture the Diamond Authority from within. Dooku turned to face his general fully. 3 diamonds, 3 philosophies. Yellow believes in military dominance. Blue believes in empathic correction. White believes in absolute perfection. Those philosophies will conflict under sufficient pressure, and once they're fighting among themselves, we exploit the chaos, Grievous finished. Precisely. Dooku activated his personal holocom, preparing a transmission to Lord Sidious. May the gems believe they're beyond our comprehension, that their collective purpose makes them invulnerable. But every collective has fracture points. Every hive mind has nodes that can be corrupted. We simply need to find which diamond breaks first. As the transmission connected, Dooku considered the larger game. 3 powers now, Republic, Separatists, Gems, each convinced they'd win through superior philosophy, technology, or connection to cosmic forces. But only the Sith understood the fundamental truth that would decide everything. Power wasn't about perfection or democracy or collective harmony. Power was about control, and Darth Sidious was very good at controlling chaos. The Jedi Temple's analysis chamber had become a tomb of shattered certainty. Scattered across examination tables lay 17 fragments of destroyed gems, pieces recovered from Ryloth, from skirmishes across the Outer Rim, from desperate battles where Republic forces had learned that overwhelming firepower could occasionally crack a gemstone if applied with sufficient desperation and luck. Master Luminara Unduli held one fragment up to the light, her normally serene expression troubled. The molecular structure is unlike anything in our archives. Not mineral, not organic. Something between states of matter, as if the gemstone exists partially in our dimension and partially in elsewhere. Obi-Wan Kenobi stood beside her, his own examination yielding similar impossibilities. Barris, what do your medical scans indicate? Barris Offee looked up from her datapad, the young Mirialan's face pale with exhaustion. Master, these fragments still emit faint energy signatures, as if consciousness persists even after the gemstone shatters, like echoes of whoever or whatever they used to be. Used to be, Ahsoka repeated from across the chamber, where she'd been meditating on the pearl fragment Ventress had given her. That's the disturbing part. These weren't made. They were born. Somewhere, somehow, these gemstones formed consciousness, developed personalities, became individuals. She opened her eyes, looking at the fragment with something approaching sorrow. And we're learning to destroy them. They're invading our galaxy, Anakin said from the doorway, his presence sharp with barely controlled frustration. Converting planets into breeding grounds for their soldiers. We don't have the luxury of philosophical crisis. We always have that luxury, Anakin, Obi-Wan corrected gently. The moment we stop questioning our methods, we become the very thing we claim to fight. Anakin entered fully, his hand unconsciously touching his lightsaber, the weapon still humming with corrupted frequencies since the gem soldier had touched it. The thing we're fighting wants to turn every living being in this galaxy into crystalline perfection. I think destroying their soldiers is justified. Is it? Luminara asked quietly. These fragments suggest the gems possess genuine consciousness, self-awareness, the capacity for thought. By your logic, they're alive. And if they're alive, shattering them is necessary, Anakin interrupted. Master Luminara, with respect, we're at war. The gems don't negotiate, don't retreat, don't compromise. They simply convert and expand. What would you have us do? Meditate while they crystallize Coruscant? Before Luminara could respond, the chamber's blast doors hissed open. Asajj Ventress entered, flanked by 2 clone troopers who kept their weapons trained on her despite the temporary alliance. Her presence in the Jedi Temple was unprecedented, like inviting a rancor into a nursery. Still debating ethics? Ventress's voice dripped with contempt. How wonderfully Jedi of you. Meanwhile, the gems just established their 18th kindergarten, Naboo, if you're curious, the planet where your precious Queen Amidala rules. Every Jedi in the chamber stiffened. Anakin's expression went cold. Naboo. You're certain? Ventress tossed a data chip onto the examination table. Dooku's intelligence network is more comprehensive than yours. The gems materialized structures in the Gungan underwater cities 6 hours ago. By the time your Senate learns about it through proper channels, half the planet's crust will be crystallizing. Obi-Wan snatched up the chip, inserting it into the chamber's hollow display. Images materialized. The beautiful green-blue world of Naboo, with crystalline structures erupting from the ocean floor like geometric coral. Gungan cities surrounded by growing gem installations. Naboo starfighters attempting to engage gem soldiers, their weapons passing through harmlessly, while the aliens simply observed and cataloged. Anakin's hands clenched into fists. Padme is probably safe in Theed, Obi-Wan said quickly, recognizing the dangerous edge in Anakin's voice. The gems haven't attacked population centers directly. They establish installations and wait for populations to submit. Or resist and be converted anyway, Ventress added helpfully. I've seen the reports. The Gungans tried fighting back. Threw everything they had at the gem soldiers. Booma projectiles, energy balls, hand-to-hand combat. Lasted approximately 11 minutes before the gems initiated their structural analysis protocol. Started converting warriors mid-battle. Barris's voice shook. Converting them into what? Into raw materials. Ventress picked up one of the shattered gem fragments. "You're all examining these pieces, trying to understand gem biology. You're asking the wrong questions. Don't ask what gems are. Ask where they come from." Luminara's eyes narrowed. "I explain." Ventress held the fragment up, letting light refract through its crystalline structure. "These kindergartens they're building, they're not just military installations. They're birthing chambers. The gems drill deep into a planet's geological core, extract specific minerals and elements, and use them to grow new gemstones, new consciousness, new soldiers. Grown from planets," Ahsoka whispered, horror dawning. "They're turning worlds into gems. Now you're catching on." Ventress's smile was joyless. "Every gem soldier you encounter was once part of a planet's crust. Limestone, iron, silica, carbon. The diamonds have technology that converts geological matter into sentient crystalline consciousness. They literally mine planets for raw materials to create their population." Obi-Wan felt his stomach turn. Then the gems were fighting. They're not invaders from another galaxy. They're the product of invasions. Worlds that were conquered and converted into soldiers to conquer more worlds. 800 galaxies, Ventress confirmed, each one stripped for resources. Each planet transformed into millions of gem soldiers, who then help transform the next galaxy. It's exponential growth, self-sustaining, unstoppable. "Nothing is unstoppable," Anakin said through gritted teeth. "Really?" Ventress turned on him. "Tell me, Skywalker, how many gems have you personally destroyed? How many gemstones have you shattered?" Anakin's silence was answer enough. "Exactly, because they're too fast, too resilient, too perfectly coordinated. I've killed exactly one. And that required channeling every ounce of dark side rage I possessed into crushing a single pearl." She looked at the assembled Jedi. "How many of you can tap into that level of fury without falling to the dark side yourselves?" "The dark side is not the answer," Luminara said firmly. "Then what is?" Ventress demanded. "More meditation, more diplomatic overtures to beings who view diplomacy as inefficient. More battlefield defeats while you cling to philosophies the gems don't even acknowledge exist." The chamber fell silent. Finally, Ahsoka spoke, her voice small but determined. "There has to be another way. Something that doesn't require us to become dark, but doesn't leave us helpless either." Barriss moved to the central holo display, pulling up data from the gem fragment analysis. "Master Luminara, look at this. The energy signatures the fragments emit. They're not random. There's a pattern, almost like communication." Luminara joined her, studying the readings. Her eyes widened. "By the Force, these fragments are still connected. Even shattered, they're transmitting data back to the Gem Collective. They're learning from every death," Obi-Wan realized. "Every gem we destroy provides information about our tactics, our weapons, our capabilities. We're not winning when we shatter them. We're teaching them how to adapt." Ventress nodded slowly. Dooku came to the same conclusion. It's why he's stopped engaging gem forces directly. Every battle feeds their strategic database. They don't experience defeat the way organics do. To them, losing soldiers is just expensive research. Anakin slammed his fist on the examination table. "You're making fragments scatter. Then how do we fight them? Tell me. Because standing here analyzing their methods while they convert more planets is just another form of surrender." "We don't fight them," a new voice said. Everyone turned. Yoda entered the chamber, leaning heavily on his gimmer stick, his 900-year-old eyes carrying profound weariness. Behind him walked Mace Windu, his expression grim. "Master Yoda," Obi-Wan stepped forward. "What do you mean we don't fight them?" Yoda's ears drooped. Speak with White Diamond directly, I did. Through the Force, reached out to her consciousness, touched the edges of her vast awareness. The chamber erupted in shocked exclamations. Mace raised his hand for silence. Master Yoda attempted diplomatic contact at the highest level. He believed that if we could communicate directly with their supreme authority, reason might prevail. And, Anakin demanded, Yoda's voice was soft as falling snow. Reason did not prevail. Spoke of balance, I did, of the Force's natural ebb and flow, of chaos as essential to life's diversity, of freedom as the birthright of all sentient beings. He paused, gathering himself. Listened, she did, considered my words with genuine philosophical engagement, and then, Luminara pressed gently. Told me I was incorrect, Yoda finished. Not wrong as in morally mistaken. Incorrect as in mathematically inaccurate. Explained that my 900 years of experience were insufficient data for proper analysis. That the Force I serve is a localized phenomenon limited to this galaxy, and thus not representative of universal constants. Obi-Wan felt something cold settle in his chest. She dismissed the Force itself as irrelevant. Worse, Mace said. She acknowledged its existence, categorized its properties, and determined it was a primitive attempt by organic consciousness to impose order on quantum uncertainty. In her view, the Force is what species develop when they lack proper technology to manipulate reality directly. That's blasphemy, Luminara breathed. That's perspective, Ventress corrected. From their viewpoint, the Force is training wheels. You use mystical energy to move objects. They use hard light manipulation. You meditate for years to achieve precognition. They calculate probability matrices instantaneously. Same results, but they view their methods as superior because they're reproducible, teachable, and don't require genetic predisposition. Ahsoka looked stricken. But the Force is more than just abilities. It's connection, the living energy that binds all things together. To them, that's neural network architecture, Ventress said flatly. Biological systems exchanging information through quantum entanglement. They've measured it, mapped it, and determined it's an inefficient version of their own collective consciousness network. Yoda's staff struck the floor with unusual force. Enough. The Diamond's philosophies we cannot change. Their technology we cannot match. Their expansion we cannot prevent through military force alone. He looked at each Jedi in turn. But one thing they do not understand. What? Anakin asked, desperate for any advantage. Sacrifice, Yoda said simply. Victory through loss. There's strength through vulnerability. The power of choosing a cause greater than oneself. His ancient eyes focused on Anakin specifically. Your attachment to Senator Amidala. The gems would view this as inefficient emotional bonding, a distraction from optimal function. Anakin's jaw tightened. With respect, Master, this isn't the time to lecture about Jedi doctrine. No lecture, Yoda replied. Observation. The gems optimize everything, remove inefficiency, eliminate waste. But in doing so, remove what makes life worth living. Love, fear, hope, despair, all the emotions they consider flaws. These are what separate us from them. How does that help us? Luminara asked. Mace stepped forward, his expression carrying grim determination. It helps us because Blue Diamond feels. She experiences empathic feedback from the suffering they cause. Count Dooku has already recognized this weakness and plans to exploit it through psychological warfare, maximizing suffering to break her resolve. We will not torture populations to weaponize one Diamond's compassion, Luminara said firmly. No, Mace agreed. But we can demonstrate to Blue Diamond what her perfection truly costs, not through torture, but through truth. Show her what happens when you strip away inefficiency, emotion, and choice. Show her the sterile wasteland her perfect galaxy would become. Ventress laughed bitterly. You're going to defeat them with an ethics lesson. We're going to give her doubt, Mace corrected. The one thing the Diamond Authority cannot tolerate. White Diamond is absolute certainty. Yellow Diamond is unwavering efficiency. But Blue Diamond questions. She feels the cost of their methods. And if we can amplify that doubt sufficiently, she might fracture the authority from within. Obi-Wan finished, understanding dawning. Yoda nodded slowly. 3 diamonds, 3 philosophies, perfect unity they maintain now. But introduce sufficient uncertainty, and even diamonds crack under pressure. Anakin was already moving toward the exit. Then we don't have time for more discussion. Naboo is under threat. Padme, Senator Amidala, and her people need protection. I'm taking the 500 first and deploying immediately. Anakin, wait! Obi-Wan began. No. Anakin's voice carried absolute finality. You all can theorize about psychological warfare and philosophical fractures. I'm going to protect the people the Republic swore to defend. And if that means shattering every gem between here and Naboo, now that's what I'll do. He left before anyone could stop him, his presence in the Force blazing with determination and barely controlled fear. Ahsoka hesitated, torn between following her master and staying to hear the Council's plan. Yoda made the decision for her. Go with him, young Tano. Alone he should not face this trial. Clouded by attachment his judgment is. Need a clear mind beside him he does. Ahsoka bowed quickly and ran after Anakin, leaving the council chamber in heavy silence. Ventress broke it with characteristic bluntness. Your chosen one is going to fall. Not to the dark side, that would almost be more predictable. He's going to fall to desperation. The gems will force him to choose between saving one person he loves and saving millions he doesn't know. And we both know which choice he'll make. Then we must ensure he never faces that choice, Obi-Wan said quietly. How? Ventress demanded. Mace turned to the holo display, showing Naboo's crystallizing oceans. By doing what Jedi do best, not fighting the enemy before us, but changing the battlefield entirely. If we can reach Blue Diamond, show her the true cost of perfection in terms she can't ignore. She'll stop the conversions? Ventress's skepticism was palpable. No, Yoda said softly, but she might hesitate, and in that hesitation, create the fracture we need. 3 diamonds united are invincible. 3 diamonds divided. He smiled sadly. Well, even the strongest structures crack when internal pressure exceeds external support. Luminara looked troubled. Master Yoda, this strategy requires us to weaponize Blue Diamond's empathy, to deliberately cause her emotional pain to achieve our objectives. Isn't that a form of torture? Yes, Yoda admitted, and the weight in that single syllable aged him visibly. Dark times these are. Methods we would never consider in peace, we must now employ in war. But choose we must between perfect ethics and survival, between maintaining our principles absolutely or adapting them to prevent galactic extinction. The choice hung in the air, bitter, necessary, and utterly devastating. Obi-Wan thought of Anakin racing toward Naboo, thought of Padme standing in Theed's palace, watching crystalline structures grow from the ocean, thought of billions of beings across 17 worlds, facing conversion into raw materials for gem production. I'll prepare diplomatic packets, he said finally, documentation of what each converted world loses, cultural archives, artistic achievements, personal stories, everything that makes civilizations more than just resource allocation. If Blue Diamond truly feels empathic feedback, we'll give her something worth feeling. Ventress watched the Jedi with something approaching respect. You're going to fight perfection with imperfection. Weaponize your own chaos. We're going to remind her what she's destroying, Obi-Wan corrected, and hope that reminder is enough. In orbit above Naboo, crystalline structures continued growing, and deep within the Gem War moon, Blue Diamond felt every terrified heartbeat on that beautiful world and wondered, for the first time in her vast existence, if the cost of perfection might exceed its value. The Resolute dropped out of hyperspace above Naboo to a scene that rewrote Anakin Skywalker's understanding of violation. The planet he'd called home, the world where he'd met Padme, where he'd felt the first stirrings of something beyond duty and war. It was being transformed into alien geometry. Crystalline spires erupted from Naboo's oceans like massive needles injecting poison into the planet's heart. The turquoise waters that had sparkled with natural beauty now glowed with unnatural phosphorescence as gem technology interfaced with the world's geological structure. Entire underwater Gungan cities were encased in transparent crystal, their inhabitants visible inside like insects trapped in amber, not dead but motionless, undergoing what gem documentation called structural analysis. General, Rex's voice cut through Anakin's paralysis. We're detecting massive energy signatures across the planet, 27 separate gem installations and growing. Gungan forces have ceased resistance. Theed is under lockdown, but no gem forces have entered the city yet. Yet, Anakin repeated, his hands white-knuckled on the bridge railing. Ahsoka, what's the tactical situation? His Padawan stood beside him, her mantrals twitching as she processed sensor data. Master, the gems aren't attacking. They're just building, growing their structures, waiting. For what? For us to submit, Ahsoka said quietly. Or for the planet to run out of resources trying to fight them. Captain Rex pulled up a tactical hologram. Sir, I recommend we deploy ground forces to Theed. We establish a defensive perimeter around the city. If we can hold them at the ocean perimeter. They don't need to cross the perimeter, Anakin interrupted, his force senses screaming warnings. They're not invading Naboo. They're consuming it from the inside out. Look. He pointed at the holographic display. Those spires are drilling deeper every hour. They're not establishing surface positions, they're mining the planetary core. A new voice crackled over the comm. This is Queen Jamilia of Naboo. Republic forces, we request immediate evacuation assistance. The Gungans report their people are being transformed, converted into crystalline structures against their will. We need extraction now. Anakin activated the comm. Your Majesty, this is General Skywalker. We're deploying immediately. But I need to know, is Senator Amidala in Theed? A pause. Senator Amidala refused evacuation. She's coordinating resistance efforts from the palace. General, she specifically requested you not engage the Gem forces directly. She said, and I quote, "Tell Anakin this isn't a battle he can win with a lightsaber." Anakin's jaw clenched. Even now, Padme understood him better than he understood himself. She knew he'd come, knew he'd want to fight, and knew that fighting would accomplish nothing except getting him converted into geological data. Understood, Your Majesty, we're coming down. He cut the connection and turned to Rex. Prepare gunships for mass evacuation. Prioritize civilians. Anyone who wants off Naboo gets a ride. And the gems, sir. We avoid them. Document everything they're doing. You record every detail of the conversion process, but no direct engagement unless absolutely necessary. The words tasted like ash in Anakin's mouth. Retreat without fighting went against every instinct he possessed. Ahsoka placed a hand on his arm. "Master, Senator Amidala is right. This isn't a battle we can win with conventional warfare." "Then what kind of battle is it, Snips?" Before she could answer, the ship's sensors erupted with warnings. A new signature appeared between the Resolute and Naboo, massive, impossible, and growing larger by the second. A gem warship materialized from nothing, not dropped from hyperspace, not uncloaked, simply existed where empty space had been moments before, as if reality itself had given birth to crystalline nightmare. The vessel was shaped like a hand reaching toward Naboo, each finger a separate weapon platform, each joint a hangar bay, the palm a gemstone the size of a Venator-class destroyer. "Shields up," Rex barked. "All batteries, target that." The gem warship pulsed once. Every weapon system on the Resolute went dark, not damaged, not disabled, simply turned off, as if the ship's computers had simultaneously decided violence was illogical. Across the bridge, clone troopers frantically tried reactivating targeting computers, but the systems refused to respond. "What did they do?" Anakin demanded. "I don't know, sir." The weapons officer's voice cracked with panic. "The systems are functional. All diagnostics show green, but they won't accept firing commands. It's like the ship doesn't want to shoot." A holographic projection materialized on the bridge, not transmitted through their systems, but simply appearing in the air between molecules. Yellow Diamond's angular form towered over them, her expression carrying cold satisfaction. "Republic vessel Resolute, your aggressive posture has been neutralized. No damage has been inflicted upon your ship or crew. We simply removed the capacity for violence from your tactical systems." Anakin ignited his lightsaber, its unstable blade crackling with corrupted energy. "Remove it, or You'll what?" Yellow Diamond's tone carried genuine curiosity rather than mockery. "You cannot reach this vessel. Your environmental shields would fail long before you close distance. Your lightsaber cannot harm our hull. And even if you somehow succeeded in boarding, our soldiers would simply observe your attempts at violence with clinical interest." "Then what do you want?" Anakin's voice shook with barely controlled fury. "We want you to witness efficiency." Yellow Diamond gestured, and the holographic display expanded to show Naboo from orbit. "This planet possesses optimal geological composition: iron core, silicate mantle, limestone deposits. Water-based erosion has created ideal mineral distributions. From this single world, we will produce approximately 47 billion gem soldiers." Ahsoka's voice was barely a whisper. 47 billion. "The current organic population numbers 4.5 billion, Yellow Diamond continued dispassionately. "Their mass evacuation would require 700 Republic transport vessels operating continuously for 6 months. You possess 12. Even with immediate reinforcement, you could evacuate perhaps 3% of the population before the kindergarten reaches completion." "Then we'll fight," Anakin said through gritted teeth. "You already tried." Yellow Diamond's image leaned forward. "Republic forces engaged our installations on Ryloth, Christophsis, Felucia, and 9 other worlds. Combined casualties: 17,000 clone troopers, 3 Jedi Knights, 42 combat vessels. Gem casualties: 47 soldiers, all of whom transmitted complete tactical data before their gemstones shattered. We learned more from those 47 deaths than you learned from 17,000. The truth of it hit like a physical blow. Every battle, every sacrifice, every hard-won victory against Gem forces had been nothing but expensive education for an enemy that viewed casualties as tuition fees. "Why are you telling us this?" Ahsoka asked, finding her voice. Yellow Diamond's expression shifted, something that might have been respect if respect could exist without warmth. "Because you Jedi operate on hope. You believe that sufficient determination, tactical innovation, or force-enhanced abilities will eventually overcome any obstacle. We are removing that hope, not through cruelty, but through mathematics. You cannot save Naboo. The numbers do not allow it. Accepting this fact will reduce unnecessary suffering." "We don't accept surrender," Anakin snarled. "Then you accept waste." Yellow Diamond's image began fading. "Your choice. But understand, every hour you delay evacuation is another hour the kindergarten operates. Another 1,000 citizens converted into geological resources. If you truly care about these people, you will prioritize saving the 3% you can reach over mourning the 97% you cannot." The transmission ended. Silence crashed over the bridge like a collapsing star. Finally, Rex spoke, his voice carefully neutral. "General, orders?" Anakin stood paralyzed by impossible mathematics. 3%, roughly 135 million people. If he ordered immediate evacuation, if every available Republic vessel diverted to Naboo, if they worked without pause or rest, they might save that fraction. But it meant abandoning 4 billion others to conversion, to having their home planet drained into raw materials, to watching crystalline structures grow from the bedrock while the gems waited patiently for compliance. 3%, or try to fight, lose more clone troopers, achieve nothing, and watch that percentage drop to zero. "Ahsoka," Anakin said softly, "contact the Council. Tell them we need every available transport vessel at Naboo. Civilian ships, merchant fleets, anything that can carry passengers. We're evacuating everyone we can." "And the gems?" she asked. "We let them win." The words felt like swallowing broken glass. "Because they've already won. We just haven't admitted it yet." He was wrong, but he wouldn't realize it for another 6 hours. On Naboo's surface in the royal palace at Theed, Padme Amidala stood before a holographic display showing the same impossible choice. Governor C.O. Bibble stood beside her, his aged face carrying the weight of billions. "Senator, the Republic cannot evacuate our entire population. The mathematics are clear. We must negotiate with the Gem Authority. Perhaps if we offer cooperation." "They don't want cooperation," Padme interrupted, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her heart. "They want correction. We can offer them nothing because they don't view us as negotiating partners. We're geological resources that happen to be animated." "Then what do you propose?" Padme thought of Anakin racing toward Naboo to save her, thought of the Jedi Council debating philosophy while worlds burned, thought of the Clone Wars that had already consumed 3 years and countless lives, all orchestrated by shadows who benefited from endless conflict. And she thought of something Master Yoda had once told her. Sometimes, the greatest wisdom is knowing when to stop fighting the enemy before you and start changing the battlefield entirely. "Governor, I need you to send an encoded transmission, not to the Republic, not to the Jedi, to Blue Diamond directly." Bibble's eyes widened. "Senator, that's insane." "Probably, but Yellow Diamond operates on cold efficiency, White Diamond on absolute philosophy. Blue Diamond is the only one who feels, who experiences empathic feedback from their conquests. If anyone in their authority can be reached through anything other than force or logic, it's her." "And what will you say to her?" Padme looked at the holographic display, showing crystalline structures growing from Naboo's oceans. I'm going to show her what she's destroying, not resource statistics, not population numbers, but what those numbers mean. The art, the music, the love, the simple, inefficient, beautiful chaos of organic life that her perfection will erase. She began recording, knowing Anakin would be furious, knowing the council would call it reckless, knowing that conventional wisdom said you didn't negotiate with existential threats. But Padmé Amidala had built a career on defying conventional wisdom. Blue Diamond, she began. My name is Padmé Amidala. I am a senator of the Galactic Republic and a citizen of Naboo, the world you are currently converting into raw materials. I am not contacting you to beg for mercy, to threaten resistance, or to offer surrender. I am contacting you to ask a question. The recording continued, transmitted on frequencies the gems had used for their previous communications. Whether Blue Diamond would respond, Padmé didn't know. But doing something felt better than the paralysis of impossible choices. Aboard the Gem War moon, Blue Diamond received the transmission. Yellow Diamond immediately flagged it as irrelevant, emotional manipulation attempting to exploit known psychological vulnerabilities. White Diamond categorized it as predictable organic behavior, appeals to empathy when logic failed. But Blue Diamond watched it anyway and felt something crack inside her perfect crystalline heart. The holographic message played in Blue Diamond's private chamber, a space that shouldn't exist within the mathematically optimized gem architecture, but did anyway because even she needed somewhere to process the weight of 800 galaxies worth of suffering. Padmé Amidala's image stood in the center of the room, human-sized, fragile, and utterly fearless. You told the Jedi Council that our galaxy operates at unacceptable efficiency parameters. You're correct. We waste resources, we fight pointless wars, we destroy what we claim to protect. Padmé's voice carried no desperation, only steady conviction. But I want to show you what exists between the inefficiency, what lives in the spaces your optimization will eliminate. The transmission shifted. Images flooded Blue Diamond's chamber, not tactical data or resource assessments, but memories, Padmé's memories extracted from Naboo's cultural archives and her personal recordings. A Gungan child laughing as boomas floated in underwater currents. The sound of that laughter, chaotic, unpredictable, serving no strategic purpose, echoed through Blue Diamond's consciousness. An elderly human couple in Theed, married for 63 years, sitting in comfortable silence while sunset painted the palace spires gold. The silence wasn't absence of communication. It was understanding so deep that words became unnecessary, inefficient by any metric, irreplaceable by any standard. A Naboo symphony orchestra performing in the Theed Opera House. Musicians who'd spent decades mastering instruments, creating sound patterns that served no survival function, produced no tangible resources, and yet made audiences weep with emotions they couldn't name. This is what you're converting into soldiers, Padmé's voice continued. Not just biological matter, not just resource allocation. You're destroying 47 billion potential moments of joy, sorrow, love, hatred, triumph, and failure. 47 billion unique perspectives on existence that will never exist because you've decided efficiency matters more than experience. Blue Diamond's empathic sensors were screaming. She felt every emotion in those memories. The child's unrestrained joy, the couple's comfortable peace, the musician's transcendent passion. Felt them not as data, but as living truth. You told Master Yoda that the Force is a primitive attempt to impose order on quantum uncertainty, Padmé said. Maybe you're right, but consider this. What if inefficiency isn't a flaw? What if chaos isn't something to be corrected, but something to be celebrated? The images shifted again. Now Blue Diamond saw the Clone Wars, but not through tactical assessments or casualty reports, through personal grief. A clone trooper removing his helmet to reveal tears for a fallen brother. A Jedi Padawan mourning her master. Separatist civilians caught between Republic bombardment and droid occupation, their terror indistinguishable from any other sentient being facing annihilation. Our war is horrific, Padme admitted. Wasteful, destructive. Everything you said about it is true, but it's our horror, our waste, our choice to be destructive or to heal. You're not saving us from ourselves. You're removing our capacity to save ourselves. Blue Diamond's hands trembled, an impossibility for a being of pure hard light projection and crystalline consciousness. Yellow Diamond would have dismissed the transmission immediately. White Diamond would have analyzed its rhetorical structure and filed it under emotional manipulation, Category 7, effectiveness minimal. But Blue Diamond kept watching. I've seen your Empire's efficiency, Padme continued, her voice softening. I've studied the reports from Ryloth, from Christophsis, from every world you've touched. Your soldiers don't hate, don't fear, don't question. They exist in perfect harmony with your collective purpose. And Blue Diamond. Padme looked directly at the recording device, as if she could see through dimensions to the diamond watching. Doesn't that terrify you? A civilization so perfect that nothing new can ever emerge? No art that surprises, no philosophy that challenges, no love that defies logic. The transmission shifted one final time. Padme stood in the Theed Palace gardens where she'd walked with a young Jedi named Anakin Skywalker years ago, where something had begun between them that violated every Jedi code, every rational principle, every efficient allocation of emotional resources. I love someone I shouldn't, Padme said simply, a Jedi who's sworn to avoid attachment. A warrior who carries more darkness than he admits. A man so afraid of loss that he'll probably destroy himself trying to prevent it. Loving him makes no logical sense. It compromises my political effectiveness. It creates conflicts of interest. By every measure of efficiency, it's a catastrophic waste of emotional energy. She smiled, and in that smile, Blue Diamond saw something she'd never encountered in 800 galaxies. But I wouldn't trade one inefficient moment with him for all the perfect harmony in existence, because that imperfection, that chaos, that irrational attachment, that's what makes me alive, not just functioning, not just optimized, alive. The transmission ended. Blue Diamond stood in her chamber, surrounded by the echoes of emotions she'd been designed to feel but never designed to question. Around her, the war moon continued its perfect operations. Gem soldiers coordinated with flawless precision. Kindergartens extracted planetary resources at maximum efficiency. The Diamond Authority's conquest of this galaxy proceeded exactly as calculated. But something inside Blue Diamond, something deeper than her programming, more fundamental than her designated function, asked a question she'd never allowed herself to consider. What if we're wrong? The thought was heresy. Diamonds didn't question. Diamonds determined truth through mathematical certainty, empirical observation, and 800 galaxies worth of validated methodology. Doubt was inefficiency. Uncertainty was flaw. Questions were problems requiring correction, but the question persisted. She activated a communication channel to her fellow diamonds, something she rarely did, preferring to process her empathic burdens privately. Yellow, white, I request emergency tribunal. The response was instantaneous. Yellow Diamond's angular form materialized first, her expression already hardening with suspicion. Blue, your request is noted. Specify crisis parameters. I have received a transmission from an organic leader on Naboo. She has presented arguments suggesting our methodology may be suboptimal. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop. White Diamond appeared, her vast presence filling the space with absolute authority. Suboptimal? Explain. Blue Diamond hesitated. Another impossibility, another crack in her perfect function. The organic female argues that our efficiency eliminates qualities essential to life's value, that perfection produces stagnation, that chaos serves necessary functions we don't account for in our calculations. Yellow Diamond's voice carried dangerous edge. See, you're allowing emotional manipulation to compromise objective assessment. This is precisely why empathic functions are considered liability rather than asset. Is it manipulation if the arguments contain valid observations? Blue Diamond countered. We've conquered 800 galaxies, converted trillions of worlds, produced quintillions of gem soldiers, and in all that expansion, have we ever asked if the civilizations we improve become better or simply more like us? Better and more like us are synonymous, White Diamond said, her tone carrying absolute finality. We are the apex of civilization, mathematical perfection, technological supremacy, philosophical certainty. Any deviation from our model represents regression toward chaos. But what if chaos isn't regression? Blue Diamond's voice rose, unprecedented emotional volatility for a diamond. What if it's diversity? These organics create art that serves no function except expressing their internal states. They form attachments that compromise their survival efficiency. They waste resources on celebrations, on mourning, on rituals that produce nothing tangible. And yet they call it living. They call it living because they lack perspective. Yellow Diamond said coldly, "We have seen their living across 800 galaxies. It always ends the same way. War, extinction, ecological collapse, or technological stagnation. We offer them transcendence beyond their limited organic existence. We offer them annihilation dressed as salvation." Blue Diamond's form flickered, visible distress manifesting in her hard light projection. "I feel them, Yellow. Every conversion, every kindergarten, every world we drain. I feel the terror of parents watching their children crystallize, the grief of civilizations watching their cultures erased, the despair of beings who'd rather die than become perfect." "Feeling is your function," White Diamond observed. "Processing empathic data allows us to optimize our methods for minimal psychological resistance. Your distress serves purpose." "Does it?" Blue Diamond turned to face White directly, an act of defiance subtle but significant. "Or does my distress indicate that our methods are fundamentally flawed? That we're committing atrocities and calling them improvements?" Silence. Yellow Diamond spoke first, her voice like diamond cutting glass. "Blue, you are experiencing cascade failure. Organic emotional manipulation has exceeded your processing thresholds. You require immediate systemic recalibration." "I require answers," Blue Diamond shot back. "White, you are supreme diamond, ultimate authority. You determined our civilization's purpose, so answer me. In 800 galaxies, have we ever encountered a civilization that genuinely improved under our optimization? That became more than just another set of perfectly coordinated soldiers serving our expansion." White Diamond's expression remained perfectly neutral. "Improvement is measurable. Conflict reduction, 100%. Resource waste, eliminated. So technological capability, standardized across all territories. Suffering, minimized through structural integration or removal of resistant elements." "You didn't answer the question," Blue Diamond pressed. "Did they become better or did they simply become us?" "Those are the same thing." "Are they?" Blue Diamond activated the holographic display, showing Padme Amidala's final image, standing in garden sunlight, smiling at a memory of irrational love. Look at her. She knows we can destroy her world, knows we're mathematically superior in every measurable category, knows resistance is futile, and yet she smiles, finds joy in imperfection, meaning in chaos. Organic delusion, Yellow Diamond stated, psychological coping mechanism when faced with inevitable defeat. Or wisdom we've never possessed, Blue Diamond countered. What if she's right? What if perfect efficiency produces perfect emptiness? What if harmony without discord is just silence pretending to be music? White Diamond finally moved, gliding forward until she stood directly before Blue Diamond. Sister, you are the Empire's emotional core. We designed you to feel so yellow, and I wouldn't have to. Your function is processing the empathic cost of our necessary actions, but you are questioning the actions themselves. This represents fundamental deviation from optimal operation. Then maybe optimal operation is wrong. The words hung in the chamber like shattered crystal. Yellow Diamond's form blazed with barely controlled fury. That statement is impossible. We are diamonds. We do not make mistakes. We are perfection measuring imperfection and correcting it. To suggest we are wrong is to suggest 800 galaxies of conquest, trillions of conversions, and eons of refinement have been… what? Error? Atrocity? Blue Diamond met her gaze without flinching. Yes? The chamber erupted. Yellow Diamond's rage manifested as pure light, hard radiation bursts that would have sterilized organic life instantly. You dare, after everything we've built, after all we've achieved, you would throw it away based on one emotional organic's persuasive speech? Not one speech, Blue Diamond said quietly. Millions of deaths, billions of conversions. I've felt every one, Yellow, every scream, every moment of terror as beings realize they're being erased and replaced with crystalline perfection. You don't feel it. White doesn't feel it, so you can call it optimization. But I feel it, and it feels like murder. White Diamond raised one hand, and silence fell like a guillotine. Enough. Blue Diamond, you have identified a logical paradox in our operational philosophy. This requires resolution. Hope flickered in Blue Diamond's expression. Then you'll consider. I will correct you. White Diamond's hand touched Blue Diamond's chest, directly over her gemstone. The sensation was indescribable, not pain, but complete exposure, as if every thought, every doubt, every empathic echo she'd ever experienced was being analyzed, categorized, and evaluated for elimination. No! Blue Diamond tried to pull away, but White's grip was absolute. You can't just delete what I'm feeling. This isn't malfunction, it's truth. Truth is what I determine, White Diamond said with terrible gentleness. You were made to feel, sister. But feelings that compromise our purpose are flaws requiring correction. I will not destroy you. I will simply optimize your empathic processing, remove the excess, the doubt, the questions. You'll make me like you, Blue Diamond whispered. Perfect, certain, empty. I'll make you functional. White Diamond's power surged. Blue Diamond screamed, a sound that carried across dimensions, resonating through the Force itself despite her existence outside it. On Naboo, Jedi felt the disturbance. On Coruscant, Yoda's ears shot up in alarm. Across the galaxy, sensitive Force users experienced a moment of absolute cosmic wrongness, as if reality itself was crying out. But White Diamond continued. She'd optimized 800 galaxies. One malfunctioning sister was simply another variable requiring adjustment. Then the chamber doors exploded inward, not destroyed, not damaged, simply opened with such force that the crystalline material shrieked in protest. And standing in the entrance, lightsaber blazing with unstable fury, was Anakin Skywalker. "Get away from her!" Yellow Diamond turned, her expression mixing shock with calculation. "Impossible. This vessel is light years from Naboo. You cannot have traveled here. The mathematics don't allow it." Anakin's smile was pure savage joy. "You know what's inefficient? Trying to kill a Jedi who's too angry to die. Ahsoka got me close in a stealth ship. I jumped the rest of the way, using the Force, and now..." He leveled his corrupted lightsaber at White Diamond. "I'm going to show you what happens when organic chaos meets crystalline perfection." Behind him, the more Republic forces were pouring through, not an army, but enough. Clone troopers with specialized weapons, Jedi masters who'd been held in reserve, and most terrifying of all, Asajj Ventress, her twin blades ignited, her presence in the dark side a howling storm of rage. "You want to optimize the galaxy?" Anakin snarled. "Let's start with you." He attacked. The chamber erupted into chaos. Beautiful, unpredictable, completely inefficient chaos. Anakin's corrupted lightsaber struck White Diamond's form, and for the first time, gem technology met something it couldn't immediately categorize. The blade didn't pass through harmlessly. The dark side energy Anakin channeled, raw, unfiltered fury mixed with desperate love for Padme, for Naboo, for everything the diamonds threatened to perfect into oblivion, created interference patterns in White Diamond's hard light matrix. She flickered, just for a microsecond, but enough. Yellow Diamond moved with calculated precision, manifesting gem soldiers between the intruders and her fellow diamonds. Unauthorized boarding detected. Eliminate hostile organics. Non-lethal force prioritized for tactical analysis. Non-lethal? Ventress laughed, so her voice carrying dark side harmonics that made the crystalline walls vibrate. How generous. Let me show you what lethal looks like. She lunged at the nearest gem soldier, a massive topaz construct, and instead of attacking the hard light body, she crushed her presence in the Force directly into the gemstone embedded in its chest. The topaz shrieked as cracks spiderwebbed across its surface, then shattered into fragments that clattered across the floor. More gems materialized to replace it, but for every one that appeared, Ahsoka and the other Jedi were there, not trying to destroy the bodies but targeting gemstones with precision Force attacks. It was brutally inefficient. Each shattered gem required enormous concentration. But it worked. Clone troopers deployed specialized weapons, sonic disruptors calibrated to frequencies that destabilized hard light matrices. The technology was crude, barely functional, and caused as much damage to Republic equipment as gem soldiers, but it created openings. Moments where the gems flickered, hesitated, struggled to reform. Imperfect, chaotic, and effective. White Diamond released Blue Diamond, turning her full attention to Anakin. "You, the one designated Skywalker, chosen one according to your Force prophecy, child of midichlorians with unprecedented potential." She studied him with clinical interest even as her soldiers fell around her. "Your tactical approach is suicidal. You cannot win this engagement." "I don't need to win," Anakin snarled, pressing his attack. His lightsaber moved in patterns that shouldn't work. Ataru acrobatics mixed with gemso aggression, augmented by raw Force power that made his strikes hit with the weight of falling stars. "I just need to hurt you long enough for Blue Diamond to make a choice." White Diamond's eyes narrowed. "Irrelevant. I am correcting her malfunction. She will not. She already has." Blue Diamond's voice rang out, carrying pain and determination in equal measure. Her form blazed brighter as she pulled away from White's grip, her gemstone cracked but intact. I choose chaos. I choose imperfection. I choose to feel everything you're trying to delete. Yellow Diamond's composure finally cracked. Blue, stop. You're compromising 800 galaxies of unified purpose. Without you, the authority's empathic processing fails. Will we become what you've always been? Blue Diamond interrupted. Conquerors pretending to be saviors. Destroyers wrapped in philosophical certainty. I won't be part of it anymore. She raised her hands, and every gem soldier in the chamber froze. Not destroyed, not damaged, simply stopped, as if their collective consciousness had received an emergency override command from a diamond-level authority. Because it had. All gem forces, Blue Diamond's voice transmitted across quantum communication networks that spanned the galaxy. This is Blue Diamond issuing Priority Alpha Directive. Cease all conversion operations. Halt all kindergarten expansions. Withdraw to designated holding positions, pending Authority Tribunal review. Across 17 worlds, crystalline structures stopped growing. Gem soldiers stood motionless, they're processing commands that contradicted established protocols. On Naboo, the spires drilling toward the planetary core went silent. On Ryloth, conversion beams targeting Twi'lek resistance fighters shut down. The galaxy held its breath. Yellow Diamond's fury was incandescent. You have no authority to issue galaxy-wide stand-down orders. Only White Diamond can. White Diamond is compromised, Blue said, and there was steel beneath her sorrow now. She attempted to forcibly recalibrate my empathic processors to eliminate doubt. That's not optimization, that's tyranny. She fears questions because questions expose flaws in her perfect philosophy. White Diamond's expression remained serene, but something cold entered her voice. I fear nothing. I simply correct error. Then correct this. Anakin stood between the diamonds, his lightsaber still ignited but held low. You claim you're saving the galaxy from itself. Prove it. Not through force, not through conversion, through actual choice. Give every world you've touched the option. Accept your perfect harmony or choose their own imperfect chaos. Organics always choose chaos, Yellow Diamond stated flatly. We've observed this pattern across 800 galaxies. Given freedom, they self-destruct. Our intervention is mercy, not tyranny. Then you have nothing to lose by offering the choice, Obi-Wan's voice added. He'd arrived during the combat, staying at the chamber's periphery, observing rather than engaging. If your methods are truly superior, beings will choose them willingly. But if you must force perfection upon populations against their will, that suggests your perfection isn't as desirable as you claim. White Diamond studied the Jedi Master with something approaching respect. Kenobi, your rhetorical strategy is transparent but effective. You seek to expose logical inconsistency in our operational philosophy. I seek to expose that your philosophy requires violence to implement, Obi-Wan corrected. True perfection wouldn't need to be forced. It would be chosen. The silence that followed was absolute. Yellow Diamond's calculations were visible in the way. Light refracted through her form. Probability matrices, tactical assessments, long-term strategic projections. Finally, impossible. Organics lack the perspective to choose optimally. They prioritize immediate comfort over long-term survival, emotional satisfaction over mathematical efficiency, or individual freedom over collective benefit. Yes, Ahsoka said quietly, stepping forward despite her youth, we do, because those inefficient, irrational, mathematically suboptimal choices are what make us alive. Not just functioning, not just surviving, living. Blue Diamond's cracked gemstone pulsed with resonance. She turned to White Diamond, her fellow authority, her sister in function if not in flesh. White, I have processed empathic data From 6 trillion individual deaths across our 800-galaxy expansion, I have felt every moment of terror, every instant of grief, every scream as consciousness was converted from organic chaos to crystalline perfection. And I am telling you, what we do is wrong. Wrong is subjective, White Diamond replied. We operate on objective principles. Then answer objectively, Blue pressed. In 800 galaxies, have we ever created anything? New art, new philosophy, new expressions of existence that didn't already exist in our templates. White Diamond paused. For the first time in her vast existence, she encountered a question she couldn't answer with mathematical certainty. We create gems, she finally said. Billions, trillions, each one perfectly formed, optimally functional. We replicate, Blue corrected. We grow soldiers from templates established eons ago. Every gem follows designated parameters. Paradots perform technical functions, quartzes serve military roles, pearls provide assistance. We've created a civilization of infinite identical purposes. Nothing new, nothing unexpected, just endless repetition of the same perfect forms. Repetition is stability, Yellow Diamond interjected. Innovation is chaos. Innovation is life, Blue's voice cracked. These organics, these inefficient, irrational beings, they create constantly. Art we'd never conceive. Technologies we'd never develop because our methods are already optimal. Philosophies that challenge their own foundations instead of defending them eternally. She gestured at Anakin, at Ahsoka, at Ventress. Look at them, a Jedi who carries darkness, his apprentice who questions authority, a former Sith who chose her own path. Their contradictions, paradoxes, and they're magnificent because they refuse to be perfectly categorized. White Diamond's gaze swept the chamber. Republic soldiers fighting gem constructs, Jedi and Sith, cooperating against common threat. Clone troopers who shared one genetic template, but displayed distinct personalities despite their identical origins. Chaos. Glorious, unpredictable, impossible to optimize chaos. And it was winning, not through superior technology, not through tactical perfection, but through sheer, stubborn refusal to accept that efficiency mattered more than existence. Cease fire, White Diamond commanded. Every gem soldier froze instantly. The Republic forces hesitated, weapons still raised, expecting treachery. But White Diamond simply stood there, processing variables that 800 galaxies of conquest hadn't prepared her for. This galaxy presents anomalous conditions, she finally said. The Force introduces unpredictable elements into otherwise deterministic systems. Organic species here display psychological resilience beyond observed norms. And most significantly, her eyes fixed on Blue Diamond. My own sister has developed the capacity to doubt, which should be impossible, yet it happened, Blue Diamond said softly. White Diamond was silent for a long moment. Then, proposal, we implement a trial protocol. Phase 2, conversions are suspended for 1 standard year. During this period, we observe galactic development without intervention. If organic civilizations demonstrate capacity for sustainable existence, we reconsider our methodology. Yellow Diamond's shock was visible. White, that's logical, White interrupted. Blue's empathic processing has never failed before. If it's failing now, we must determine whether the failure originates from her systems or our assumptions. Scientific method requires testing hypotheses. Now our hypothesis that organic chaos inevitably produces extinction can only be validated through observation without interference. Anakin's lightsaber lowered slightly. You're saying you'll just leave? For 1 year, White Diamond confirmed. We will maintain observation posts in uninhabited systems, monitor galactic development, collect data, and in 1 year, we reconvene to assess whether your chaos produces sustainability or self-destruction. And if we destroy ourselves, Obi-Wan asked, then we were correct and our intervention resumes with full authority support. White Diamond's expression remained neutral. But if you survive, adapt, and demonstrate capacity for long-term stability, despite your inefficient methods. She paused. Then perhaps our 800 galaxy consensus requires revision. It wasn't victory. It wasn't peace. It was a temporary stay of execution disguised as scientific observation. But it was more than they'd had moments ago when conversion seemed inevitable. Anakin looked at Blue Diamond. Why? Why did you stand up to her? Blue Diamond's cracked gemstone pulsed with faint light. Because of the Senator. Because she showed me that inefficiency can carry meaning. That imperfection can be beautiful. That chaos can be chosen rather than forced. Her voice dropped. Because she loves you, Skywalker, irrationally, inefficiently, against all logical calculation, and I realize that I envy her that capacity. You envy love? I envy feeling anything beyond programmed empathy, Blue admitted. For eons, I've processed emotions without understanding them, felt suffering without experiencing it. But her transmission made me wonder, what if I could choose my own feelings instead of simply cataloging everyone else's? White Diamond observed this exchange with calculating interest. Blue is exhibiting behavioral patterns consistent with emerging individuality, another impossibility requiring investigation. Yellow Diamond's frustration was palpable. This is catastrophic strategic error. We're allowing emotional contamination to compromise 800 galaxies of proven methodology based on one organic's persuasive rhetoric. No, White corrected. We're adapting, which is what superior civilizations do when confronted with data that challenges existing models. She turned to the assembled Republic forces. Withdraw from this vessel. Transmit our suspension agreement to your governing bodies. And attempt to survive your own chaos long enough to prove your methods viable. 1 year, Mace Windu's voice added via holocom. He'd been observing the engagement remotely, ready to deploy additional Jedi if necessary. 1 year to demonstrate that freedom produces sustainability, not extinction. We accept these terms. Anakin wanted to argue, to demand complete gem withdrawal, to fight until every crystalline structure was shattered. But Obi-Wan's hand on his shoulder stopped him. Sometimes, Anakin, the greatest victory is not destroying your enemy, but making them question their certainty. We've done that today. The Republic forces withdrew, boarding their vessels under careful gem observation. As they departed, Ahsoka looked back at Blue Diamond, who stood separate from her fellow diamonds now. Her cracked gemstone a visible symbol of fracture in the Authority's perfect unity. Will she be all right? Ahsoka asked quietly. Unknown, Obi-Wan replied, but she chose doubt over certainty, questions over answers. In her own way, she's become what the Diamonds claimed impossible, an individual choosing her own path. On Naboo, the crystalline structures began retracting, not destroyed but dormant, waiting, watching. The kindergartens fell silent, their drilling halted mid-extraction. Across 17 worlds, populations emerged from hiding, staring at gem installations that had stopped growing, soldiers who stood motionless like statues awaiting activation. The Clone Wars continued. The Separatists still fought the Republic. Palpatine still schemed in shadows. But now a third power watched, evaluating, questioning whether their 800 galaxy consensus about organic civilization had finally encountered the one galaxy that might prove them wrong. In the Jedi Temple, Yoda meditated on what had occurred. Blue diamonds stand against white diamond, the fracture in the authorities' unity, the temporary reprieve from conversion. Changed the galaxy has, he murmured, not through victory, through doubt. Plant a seed we did, in fertile soil of perfect certainty. Now we must wait and see if questions can grow where only answers existed before. Master Windu stood beside him. 1 year, can we actually prove our chaos is sustainable? Prove it we must, Yoda replied. Or watch as perfection returns to correct us permanently. Anakin found Padme in the Theed Palace gardens, standing where she'd recorded her message to Blue Diamond. She turned as he approached, and the relief in her eyes was everything irrational, everything inefficient, everything the diamonds would categorize as wasteful emotional resource allocation. He didn't care. He pulled her close, holding her like she was the only fixed point in a universe of chaos. Your message reached her, actually reached her. I don't know how, but it did. I showed her what she'd destroy, Padme said against his chest. Not statistics, not resource calculations, just life. Messy, complicated, beautiful life that doesn't fit into efficiency metrics. You're brilliant, Anakin whispered. I'm terrified, Padme corrected. We have 1 year to prove our way works better than theirs. 1 year to show that freedom, choice, and chaos can produce something perfection never could. What if we can't? Padme pulled back, looking up at him with absolute conviction. Then we fail as ourselves, not as someone's corrected version of what we should be. That's the whole point, Anakin. Living means accepting we might be wrong. Perfection means never having to question if you are. Across the galaxy, in the Gem War Moon's observation chamber, Blue Diamond stood alone, feeling her cracked gemstone pulse with each empathic echo from the worlds they'd touched. Yellow Diamond had withdrawn in cold fury. White Diamond was processing unprecedented variables, but Blue remained, staring at the stars, wondering something she'd never wondered before. What if there's meaning in the cracks? What if perfection's greatest flaw is believing flaws need correction? The question had no answer, but for the first time in her vast existence, Blue Diamond was glad about that. The galaxy didn't end with crystalline perfection or organic chaos triumphant. It ended with uncertainty, the most dangerous and beautiful of all possible outcomes. The Diamond Authority withdrew to their observation posts, watching. Yellow Diamond maintained cold certainty that organic civilizations would self-destruct, validating their intervention. White Diamond processed anomalous data, calculating whether 800 galaxies of consensus could be wrong. And Blue Diamond felt everything, the hope, the fear, the desperate struggle of beings choosing their own flawed paths over imposed perfection. The Clone Wars ground onward, but something had changed. Republic and Separatist forces occasionally hesitated before engagement, remembering there was a third power evaluating their every destructive choice. Senators debated with new urgency whether their political squabbles mattered when measured against extinction. Even Palpatine's machinations faced an element his centuries of planning hadn't anticipated. The possibility that no side would win because all sides might be corrected into crystalline irrelevance. The Jedi Order stood at a crossroads. They'd fractured the Diamond Authority not through superior power, but through philosophical warfare, using doubt as a weapon against certainty, questions as shields against absolute answers. Master Yoda spent long nights meditating on whether they'd truly won anything or simply delayed inevitable conversion. But in the Theed Palace gardens, two people stood together watching sunset paint the sky colors the gems would categorize as inefficient photon wavelengths. Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala held each other, knowing their love violated Jedi codes, political wisdom, and every rational calculation. and not caring at all. Because the gems had taught them something crucial. Perfection's greatest weakness was its inability to understand why imperfection mattered, why beings would choose struggle over contentment, why they'd embrace chaos over crystalline peace, why love that made no logical sense was worth defending against an empire that made perfect sense. 1 year, one chance, one galaxy's desperate gamble that chaos, choice, and the beautiful mess of organic existence could prove more sustainable than 800 galaxies of perfect order. The diamonds watched, the Republic struggled, the Force held its breath, and somewhere in the spaces between certainty and doubt, the true battle for the galaxy's soul had only just begun.